Alrighty then. See what we got here. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. We are good. Alrighty. What's going on, everyone? Make sure this thing's right. That doesn't look very clear to me. Let's get this. Let's check something out here. All right, here we go. There we go. That looks a little better, right, guys? A little clearer. Jump on this. Oh, yeah, that's better. Bob Hope, yo, what's going on? Why so early today? Well, like I said, in my last live feed, I said I would make it a little earlier for all my friends over in the UK and everywhere else around, right? So I figured I would do that. Let me see here. It helps them out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Hi, Chris, here from Scotland. Glad to be able to join you this weekend. Well, Tommy, glad to have you in here, brother. You know that. Drops the mic, Mars in the house. Hi, guys. Trippy, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Mark Lewis, hello, Chris. Bush Corey, great to see you, bro. Hope you are well. Gary from London. Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Robert Morgan, hi, Chris. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you too as well there, Robert. Hello, Brian. Digger. Hi, Chris from West Virginia. Digger, I think you were on there before, and I don't know what you said you were at. Material, what's going on? Good to have you in there. Corin. Yes, that's it. I'm saying it correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Kenneth, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Yeah, Tony, exactly. I figured I'd, like I said, jump in there earlier to help you guys out as well, because I know if you're going to be going to bed, it's kind of tough to be like, oh, man, I can't stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning. It sucks. So I get you. Renee, what's going on, man? Hi, Chris from Holland. Everybody's in the house tonight. Robert Morgan. Someone is complaining about the number of views and likes. Wonder why. Oh, yeah. And like I said, guys, we're not going to talk about the other guy, if you know what I mean, tonight. We're just going to do our thing. I've got some actual topics there, and somebody else has sent me some things I can look over. So we're going to go over that. And so we're going to, but because I did say that, guys, we're not going to talk about this other person, just keep your eyes open. Stay vigilant for the trolls, because you know they're going to really be all over the channel. They're going to bum rush big time, knowing that I said that. Think about it. In a person who would think that, to be like, oh, okay, he said he's not going to talk about it. Let's see if we can get him to talk about it. So yeah, we're not going to waste another second. So Chris, nice video, some nice stuff on the last one. Absolutely, Hatchet Man. Like I said, I didn't see some of the stuff in there, and then all of a sudden, boom, the stuff come right out. And here's the thing, it can't. When you look at it, some people go, well, if you don't see the idea of that being vertical, right, that back part on the moon. When I showed the ground and I said that's vertical, it's like it can't possibly be like a hill, because how would that be inside another hill? It doesn't make any sense. But when you look at it, you can actually see that's been like overlaid on top of that. You just got to look carefully at it, but it's there. What it is, it's anybody's guess. You guys got the best guess, as best as mine, so I don't know, pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Kenneth, you know how that goes, man. You're right. Hi, Chris from Ireland. What's going on? Wave my hand over to the big pond. Robert, good to see you in there. You're right. You're right there, Hatchet Man, no doubt. 357 Robbie's in the house. Good afternoon from the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Emperor 6979 Europe says thank you for the earlier start. Well, like I said, I did it for you guys. I mean, I just want, here's the thing, guys. Get everybody on board, and it sucks for the people that don't want to build, well, not don't, but obviously can't, right? Because it's like me. If I was in the UK and I'm going, oh, my God, man, he's starting it at this time. And, if I start at 7 and it's 5-6 hours later, yeah. Especially if you got to work in the morning. It's not fun. Let's see. X15, what's going on, brother? Hello, Chris. And the moon vid was excellent. Oh, yeah. Some of these, and I got some more of these coming up too, guys. In fact, I just had them sent into me yesterday as well as today. So we'll be doing more of those. In fact, somebody just sent, I don't know if Leatherneck Joe's in here yet, but yeah, he sent me one on, and guys, I told you I was behind on this thing, right? As far as my email, it was like August 9th, he sent it to me. So, in fact, I already done a video on this particular sol, but I seen something else interesting in it. So we may be doing that over again too. Bush Corey, you said, Chris, last vid of the moon looked like a train crash. You sure got a great eye to spot these manipulations. Yeah, it's hard to tell what it is, to be truthful with you, right? I mean, we're just seeing this, what looks like an artificial structure, and that's the best way to say it. Is it a structure? No idea. But it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like just a mound or something laying there, right? It's anybody's guess, you know? That's the way I interpreted it. It's like, listen, it doesn't mean what I say it is. It's absolutely it is, right? All I can say is, this is what it looks like to me. What do you guys think? And, you know, many of you guys say, yeah. And some of you guys say, no, I think it's something else. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. It's about just pull them apart together, right? I got a sore throat, guys, so forgive me. I don't know what it is. Must be everybody starting school. Everybody's just spreading them germs around. Let me see. Hi, Chris. It's great to see you early. Just past 10 p.m. in England. Well, good to see you in there, Ray. Yep, I knew it was going to be getting... It's a lot later for you guys, and so that's why I said I will make it a little bit earlier, right? Richard, yes. Hope you're good. Yes, absolutely. On the moon. Couldn't suss out the perspective on the moon photo, Chris. Sorry, I didn't see the big structure, though. Oh, I did see the big... Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a lot of this stuff is so well hidden, especially in that left part of the photo. You guys seen what was darker, right? It's weird how they did that, too, because it looked like it was the same time of day with all the shadows, the way they were pointing and everything else. And, of course, it's kind of hard to tell because you've got rocks at a different size, right? Different height and everything else. So it's kind of hard to judge that. But it all seemed to be the shadows going in the right direction, right? All the same direction. So it was weird how they had real dark. And then, but keep in mind, these things are individual. That means they can make one super dark to hide something, make one super light, like I showed you guys on the right. There's something way in the back. There's two objects there. It looks like one they covered and one looked like what I described as a small craft or whatever it was, right? So, yeah. Popster, thank you so much for doing it earlier. You have a lot of subs in the UK. Well, I know I do. You guys are awesome people, man. Tony P, Chris, let's get you on H2. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I said, I was on one. It was equivalent to like H2. It was a Russian TV channel, and they had done an interview with me. You guys can look it up in my videos. It's a couple of years back, probably a few years back now. And it's talking about Mars and everything else. So it was cool to even get on that, you know. So the actual cameraman came here, and you know, we did the. I laid out all the photos that I had, and he thought that was pretty interesting. He said, "Oh my God, that is pretty cool." So yeah, pretty cool. I wouldn't mind being on there. Can't stay long, but hello, Chris. Love your channel. Thank you, 250 Saber. Appreciate that. Good to see you in there, even if it's just for a quick hello. Hadger Man, thank you, sir. Thank you for the support. Like always, Chris, love to hang out. Smash that like button, people. Smash it. Let's see. Dollar Guy, Lucky Mall, so you saw it too. Let me see here. This thing just totally jumped up on me here. You go back and interview the rotorcraft. Yes, I did. Dollar Guy, you asked me, did you go back and review the rotary engine, aircraft engine? I'm sorry, you identified. Yeah. You were the one that actually showed that photo, right? Of the actual engine. You had a picture of it, and then, of course, you talked about the actual one in the video. Yeah, got a lot of likeness to it, doesn't it? Scotland, only forgot you were 2 hours early. Photography, light and magic. Yeah, it's like myself. I was actually doing things around the house. You know, we were out and about, and I'm going, oh, that's right. 5 p.m. Eastern time. Got to be on. So yeah. Let's see. I guess Kenneth was actually answering to you, Bushcore. Yes, I had commented the one object looked like a fuselage frame, but the area did resemble a rail platform. Ian Jones. Hey, brother. What's going on? Popsy, you said, do you think this impending pole shift is a reason for the race to be off? For the race to be off planet. You know what? I think they're getting ready for anything. Think about it for a minute. Knowing that you have the capabilities of actually space travel, right? And of course, they're trying to do their damnedest not to make this a failed attempt to go to Mars. And of course, I think they'll do some trial runs. You know what I mean? They can actually put all kinds of sensors inside a craft, whether it be, what the gravity may be, if there's any at all on it, which I doubt, unless they got their own simulated gravity. Anything from like the amount of air pressure. And of course, they'll just send it there and just see how it makes out, see how it weathers, so to speak. And once it gets there, it looks like everything held together, whether it be seals on windows, whatever it may be, to make sure that it stays pressurized, and the occupants will make it to Mars, right? So I'm sure they'll do that first, and then of course they'll send them. So I strongly believe that, because at any given time, how many times you guys have seen in the news now lately? It's been like asteroids and all kinds of things just flying by Earth lately. So it's no wonder to me that they're trying to, maybe they just say, listen, we can get off Earth now, so let's go ahead and colonize somewhere else before this actually does happen. Something really catastrophic happens and basically kills off the whole human race, right? Yeah. Let's see. Nick, you said, keep up the good work. YouTube's best Mars and Moon. Well, I appreciate you, man. I really do. Michael Starr, Chris, did you notice what's in the sky in the second frame of the last moon video? 4 stars, but once the color curve gain is turned up, the entire sky is filled with objects, UFOs, crowds. I have to go back and check that. It seemed to me, are you talking about the second one over, or was it? Yeah, you're talking about the second frame. You said second. But it seemed to me there was something up in the top on the third one as well. I could be wrong, but it seemed like there was something up there, and I didn't actually enhance it or actually lighten it up, right? So I'll have to go back and check that out. How is everybody? Hi from Ohio. Lord Piat, good to see you there, man. Richard Mortimer. Oh, yeah, you put morning. That's right, too. You're on the other side, aren't you? On the side of the globe there. Stig, you put, hi, Chris. Great content on your channel. Really enjoy it here in the UK. Keep it up. It's really appreciated. Well, appreciate you being here, man. It means a lot. Well, I hate it when you just move this thing down slightly and the thing just takes right off. You go ahead and make this bigger too. Sometimes these things are a pain to see. Whoop, went a little too far. Literally took them right off the page. Ready video today. Let's see. Taff, good to see you in there. Shamay, bro, what's happening? Yep. Well, good to see you in there. Eric Bauer. Chris, I would like to give you a big thank you for all of the hard work you have done over the years. You have opened my eyes to what's going on Mars. Well, I appreciate that. Photography, light, and magic. George Camoni. Hi, Chris. Great video there today. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, how can I send you a photo of Titan that I would like you to see? You can send it to Mars Anomalies at AOL.com. I get them all the time. And like I said, I just, believe it or not, though, I don't look at it all the time. I try to check it every weekend because I do get people sending me stuff. Hey, man, did you get that? And I said, yeah. So I went over it today. And like I said, I've seen, Leatherneck Joe's email. This was from like the 9th of this month. I'm like, oh, man. So I'm trying to get into these things more and more, into the email, so I can answer you guys, each and every one of you. And if you show me pictures, obviously, we can make a video on it and stuff like that. So, in fact, I got another one, too, I just thought about. One from Mars as well. And somebody had seen some interesting little details on some of these rocks. So, we'll definitely be doing a video on that soon, too. Let's see. You guys are going back and forth with each other. That's awesome. Stephen Ward, good question. Great, Chris. At last, live just after 11 in Spain. What do you think about Elon Musk nuking Mars? Well, here's the thing. He's been talking about this for, I'm guessing, a good couple years now. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to heat the atmosphere, right? What they claim is very little atmosphere. And they're trying to get it terraformed, by kicking it off and everything else, getting get the planet hotter and everything else. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, but if you think about it, what other, way it is to do it? I don't agree. If there is something alive on the planet, pretty much kill it off. So I don't agree in that aspect, but in a large scale, how would you do it? And that's the only way that they're probably trying to think, well, we can get it kicked off and start getting it terraformed because heat it up and everything. But to me, it just makes no sense because if you're going to go and land there with the, astronauts, I don't get it. What these people are going to be going to Mars. I mean, unless they're doing it on the other far side of the planet where it's not going to be a nuclear fallout, I don't think it's a good idea as far as that goes. But or how they can do that time frame, because it's not like you could just drop a couple nukes and go, okay, 2 years it should be good, right? Yeah, it usually lingers a whole lot more than that. So yeah, actually, man, I want to be the first person back to Mars. Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see what these guys are really seeing, and I'm talking about the unmessed with photos and the ones that have been completely, manipulated, obfuscated. Oh my God. Renee, sorry, Chris, you still have to watch your last video. What is that structure on the moon? I'm going to do tomorrow morning. I'm glad you started a little earlier. Thank you. Oh, no problem. Like I said, I'm going to have to check that out myself because, like I said, I didn't do anything with the sky itself. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out again as far as the sky itself, right? Supreme Ruler. Hello, folks. What's going on? Good to see you in there. Good evening, Chris and friends. Libby says, Lucky Mo, Chris, you have changed my world forever after the Clock on Mars video. Yeah, that was pretty interesting because even I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, what? What is this? And how the hell is that natural? It doesn't make any sense, right? It can only be something intelligently made. I've said this before, like you can see some weird things now. You can find 90-degree angles in nature, of course. I mean, just way rocks are cut out and so on and so forth. But to see like a ton of them together, okay, now it's starting to get, okay, this is no longer natural and so on and so forth. So, yeah. My true love is Mars. Yeah, I mean, you know why? A lot of people are getting more and more onto Mars is because they're going, man, something tells me, again, just add it all up. All these guys, they're all these countries are bum rushing to Mars and they want to see what's going on. I mean, again, we're just looking at a lifeless planet here, right? So why all of this collaboration with all of these, these countries? We got to make it happen. Go, go, go. So there's a reason for it. And okay, so we're just going to look at dust, red dust and nothing more, right? It's kind of like the moon thing. Same thing. We're going up there to look at rocks. Okay, what? 7 Apollo missions? 10 whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to do it one time, but then you're doing it over again. And you're taking the chance of losing an astronaut every time you go. So, yeah. Yeah, all right. Shh, won't tell your wife. Shh. Let's see. Man, this thing jumped up again. This does this. Try not to miss any of you guys because of, you guys are here for a reason, right? And you may have questions or just comments and stuff. And I want to make sure I cover you all. So if I lag behind a little bit, I hope you understand. David Smith. Hello, Chris. Hope you're having a great weekend. I am, David. Thanks for asking. I hope you are too. Thomas Stone. I see UFOs nightly at work and have been showing them to coworkers. One was moving slowly across the sky in the wrong direction of the stars. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can find all kinds of crazy things. If you lay down on the grass and if you don't have any kind of light pollution, like street lights and all kinds of lights from a city or something like that, and you just lay down, just watch. And if it's a nice clear night, watch what happens. It's insane, the stuff you see flying up there. Now, some of the stuff is just you can see them because they got strobes on them, whether it be the green or red or blue lights on these strobes on these planes. But when you see them just flying right along, okay, well, they could be satellites because a lot of these are cruising at 17 plus thousand miles an hour. So a lot of those could, in fact, just be satellites. And then there's some you can literally see go like this and actually just change direction. You go, okay, satellite's not going to do that. So, yeah, I mean, there's some crazy things in the sky. Just people. The thing is, people don't take enough time to just relax and look up at the sky. And if they did, they'd be going, man, there's some crazy shit going on up there. It's just weird. Leon Hall, what's the most convincing object you've pulled out of an image? That's a tough one because there's many. I remember, and I've said this before, there was an opportunity image. It was one of the sols that one of the photos that Opportunity took, and it would look like they look like something like vehicles like we'd have here on Earth, but they were washed down this wall in this crater wall. Now, were they actual vehicles? One of them, like I said, I think I told you guys a story. I literally took the photo, I printed out in some Kodak paper. I took it into to my boss, right? And I said, hey, I got a photo for you to look at. Didn't tell him anything about what it was. I said, it's not really the best quality, but tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see it. So he looks at it and he starts laughing. I said, what are you laughing about? He said, man, I hate to say it. I said, what do you mean you hate to say it? What is it? He said, I swear to God, if I didn't know any better, this looked like an army Jeep. I said, thank you. He said, what do you mean? I said, and before he even answered, I said, there's no right or wrong answer, by the way. Oh, okay. So he kind of laughed. He's thinking, I think he thought he was going to be tricked. That's what I thought. That's what I think he thought, right? So he's looking at it, and like I said, he said, I look like some weird army Jeep. It looked like half buried down this. Yes. I said, by the way, that it's from Mars. He went, oh, no way. I said, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. So, yeah. So that was one of them. And just a lot of other photos that are from the base of Mount Sharp, where you see all of these, what look like buttes and stuff. And I found things that there's literally like rectangular pieces inside these buttes, what look like little stairs. It looked like, some kind of, openings or something like that. I mean, these are in buttes. They're hills. Doesn't make any sense. Hi, Chris from the UK. I'm liking the earlier start. Richard Frost, thank you for joining us. Well, like I said, I told you guys I would do that to help you guys as well. Again, I think it's fair if you guys want to jump on board as well, right? Oh, Tommy wants to know, Thomas Stone, where do you live? Supreme Ruler, hey Chris, do you follow or watch Marfugel? No, I don't. I'm not sure who that even is, to be truthful with you. Molder 06, hello from France. What's going on? Good to see you in there, Molder. Ray Raymond, what do you think about the guy's plan to nuke Mars and attempt to terraform? Well, like I said, we're talking about Elon here. He was talking about that. And like I said, this has been talked for the last couple of years. And to be truthful with you guys, I'm wondering if this wasn't attempted in 1941. Remember, we talked about this where Dr. John Brandenburg talked about two, in atmosphere explosions. They were in air, actually. They weren't on the ground in 1941. See these two bright lights. I'm wondering if, and I hate to say it, that we did this already. Think about it. 1941 up to this point. If there's radiation, wouldn't most of that have settled by now? Think about it. And maybe this is the reason why we're starting to see, wait a minute, there's more, what was they saying? More methane or methane, as you guys call it in the UK. Now they're starting to see more of that. And it's always seasonal. Is it possible that's already taken place? Now, of course, that's just pure speculation. But is that possible, right? Hank Finn, the video earlier was amazing. Nothing other than some type of structure. That's what it looked like to me. Now, like I said, people may have a different view of it, Alan Pope, you put on there, first thing I thought from your last vid was an airplane. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends how you look at it, because the way it kind of had that rounded front, right? Yeah, like you have like the fuselage and stuff like that. And yeah, it has that weird kind of bullet shape in the front. Now, again, I'm not even sure what that is. I just threw that out there. It looked like some kind of weird, intelligently made structure. Is it? No way to vet it. I say that in everything, because there just simply is no way. If we could walk up there and go, yeah, I was right, or no, I was wrong, then that'd be okay, but we can't, right? Robert Morgan, do you intentionally miss spotting items in your photos for us to discover? Because I often wind up asking myself, how could you have missed something so obvious? Yes and no, Robert. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes I try to concentrate on the bigger things that would actually stand out. In other words, people would see with ease. as opposed to the smaller things. Because sometimes you guys ask me that. And I've actually done videos where I show, what do you call it there? Where I show different items. But what I do, because this is how it went. I had a guy say to me one time, "Oh, well, that's because your subs are following you because you're saying it's this, so therefore they're agreeing with you." So a couple of times I've done this where I've done a video. I say, "Guys, I'm just going to show you these objects. I'm going to let you tell me what you think they are, and I don't even give my take on it at all." And I still do this periodically. So this way, I'm just going to circle the objects. I'm going to, they're enhanced. I'm going to circle them. I'm going to let you guys tell me what you think it is. And many a times I've done this, well, not many times, make it sound like I did it 400 times. I've done this, I think, 3 times in the last few years, which I need to do more. And every time, just about, I don't know, at least half of you guys would say the same thing I said, meaning to myself, this is what this looks like. So are we all just whacked, or is it we actually seeing the same thing? I think it's the latter. We're all seeing the same thing. And I don't think we're all wrong about it. Stig, you said, or asked, do you ever worry about NASA might someday try and shut you down or pop in for a chat? Not at all. Like I said, there's many people doing this. It's not just me, right? Many people are doing this. And again, I think they use it as an out. They use people like me as a pawn, right? They're just like, well, let the people figure it out. In other words, they'll argue with each other, meaning, you get half the population, oh, I think it's this. And the other person, I don't think so at all. I think it's just crap. That's what they want. That's what they want. The people try to figure it out. Now, I always said that a lot of these photos, my freaking throat's bothering me. Many of these photos, there's actually, I call them like breadcrumbs, right? Where it's like they're literally saying, hey, listen, if you want to find the stuff in the photo, you'll find it. You got to search for it. We're not just going to give it to you. And so this way you can figure it out. You find it. And then, of course, you come up with your own, decision, what you might think it is. But I think they do it purposely. And it's because many people have asked me, Chris, why would they go out of their way to block out one whole section of that, but on the other side, not show a thing? Great question, right? So yeah, I think it's because they're just trying to show a little bits and pieces at a time, like a slow disclosure thing. They're just slowly showing it. Let people get acclimated. So this way, if there's ever any kind of, I'm going to call it a major leak, somebody like lets out what really is, everybody won't be in total shock. Although I think they still would be, because can you imagine a photo that hasn't been manipulated? Oh my God, that would be awesome. Natural Libre. Woo, we are live. Still notification. No notification. Not surprised. That's why I say, guys, just keep an eye, keep an eye out. You'll sometimes it's like I'll put it on and just check the channels I check normally. And I'll look, oh, wow, they're live, or they got a new video out. Because sometimes you don't get that notification, right? Please do the thing where it says you go online, date, time. Okay. What I'll do is I'll remind everybody, like in the video prior to the weekend, this is what I did on that moon video I just did, where I said in there, guys, join us 5 p.m. Eastern time, so on and so forth. Well, I just put 5 p.m. Just a reminder, so people would say, oh, that's right. So anybody watch, if they looked at my post at the very top of the comment section, they would say, okay, there it is. So it kind of reminded you guys in case you don't get it. You know what I mean? Hatchet Man, Chris, I think Mars is a lot more like Earth than NASA lets on. Come on, NASA, just tell us. Yeah, I believe it is too. Now, I don't believe it's exactly, of course, but I think it has its limitations as far as atmosphere. It's obviously thinner. But they're saying within the Gale crater, the atmosphere settles down. It's actually got its own like ecosystem kind of thing going on, because there is a water cycle. There is cirrus clouds. You can see it in a lot of the opportunity photos, curiosity photos, where you can see these cirrus clouds. And of course, they have like a GIF. They put GIFs out every now and then. You can see them traveling. Of course, they're like, 3, 4, 5 frames maybe in a row, and that's all you get. But you see these clouds, and what they usually are, if I'm not mistaken, a cirrus cloud is basically a weather changing cloud. So, and then they say there's water on there. Of course, there's water on the poles. Yeah. I mean, to me, I think, if there's anything, oxygen is probably closest to the ground in Gale Crater. So it's got its own kind of like an ecosystem going on. And this is probably where you'll find life. And I strongly believe that's why they're there. Phil Cox and daughter, Jessica and Kelsey Brown. What's going on? Hope you guys are having a great night. Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. Henrik, you put on there, hi, Chris. I send you a photo from NASA to you on Facebook. Will you do a video on that? Thanks for your videos. Love it. Did you go by the same name, though, Henrik? Because I did get a couple today. I did see a couple. I don't know if you went by the same name or something else. I'll have to check it because I did get a couple of them. Greg McLaughlin. Hi, Chris from Scotland. What's going on? Good to have you in there, man. Hope the earlier times are helping you out a little bit. Daniel, you put on there about ways wondered about nuking the moon. Some people say they were blowing up structures. Some people said Russia and Earth are having a battle on the moon where a supposed outpost has been since 1979. Yeah, there was a time when they actually had those explosions, and I forget what the two crafts were. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was like a craft. It was going towards the moon, had the nuclear warhead on it, and the other one followed behind. And what they did was once this one hit, it would literally basically sniff the debris that came off that first explosion. It would sniff it, send the information back, and of course, then it would impact. Well, doing so, there was a part in, oh God, it's that photo. I know you guys have seen it, where it showed the two people that work for, it wasn't Goddard. I forget what it's called. It's up on the wall anyway. But anyway, the guy's got his arm like this here, and you can see the photo just under his arm, and there's an actual structure there. And this happened the same time they were bombing the moon. So I believe that strongly that's what they were doing. Maybe they try to see if they could punch a hole in the outer part of the moon, seeing they think it's hollow or artificial, right? Everyone says it hasn't made sense that they haven't been back to the moon in 50 years. I think they go in the entire time. The rest of them have just been kept secret. Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, like I said, guys, they can easily do this. I mean, look at the SR-71. I mean, these crafts here, even though they're made here, to fly, and they were, of course, they were top secret back in they were designed in the 40s, right? And they went to, it wasn't until the 90s till it was exposed, I believe. I think it was early 90s. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So, I wonder why this thing was awful like this. So, I think it was the early 90s, it became public. So, knowing that, is it possible? You see what the actual module, the lunar module, was made out of, right? It was just a capsule itself, but then it had like this. I call it the tin foil, but it was actually it's kind of a foil, right? Because most of that was just cargo on the bottom. They had the lunar buggy all folded up into the side of it. It's the capsule itself on the very top that was, airtight and all that other good stuff. So you've got a plane. If you were to retrofit it with another engine that could work out in space, why can't you use the same spacecraft? Or your atmospheric, anything you need for that pilot or astronaut, whatever, is simply in the suit. All they got to do is get to the moon, and of course, they're there. They land normal, take off. And it's going to be nothing to take off if the moon has got virtually almost no gravity, which it does, but still, it can literally take off a whole lot easier than it takes off from Earth, and it doesn't matter. Because once it comes back to Earth, it just glides right in, and of course, it comes in and gets warm, but that's not, the thing was made for that. And a lot of people don't know this, but that any high-speed jet like that, if you ever, because my brother used to be in the Air Force, and he used to work on the Warthog, the A-10, stuff like that, back in the day. But all these high-speed, or these, ones can do Mach 1, Mach 2, they were built purposely loosely. So in other words, when they're on the ground, they're literally leaking fluids all over the place. But once it gets up in the air and everything expands because of the heat, it seals right up. So once they fuel the thing up and do what they put it in, whatever they put into it, whether it's hydraulics, any kind of fluids or whatever, then they immediately get it up in the air. And of course, it seals itself once it heats up from the expansion from the actual, because of the high speed, right? So again, what's the big deal? Go to the moon, come back. They can use any aircraft. They just retrofit it with a different engine. I think they've been doing that for a long time. I don't think they've ever stopped. Just because they said, well, we retired the shuttles doesn't mean they stopped. Think about it. Richard Mortimer, you put on there the joint U.S.-Soviet mission to the moon proposed by Kennedy as he began to worry about that. That the Apollo program was going south, fell through after he was killed in Dallas. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Everybody kind of like, just kind of like, you know what I mean? Kind of the interest kind of faded off. But, like I said, I don't think it's ever been stopped, to be truthful with you. I think once they went to the moon, they knew they could do it. And they said, okay, just keep building, keep doing better. That's what we do as humans, right? We build something. I mean, look at the cars we used to have back in the early 18 or middle 1800s, right? Look what we got now. We want to go faster, more technology, so on and so forth. We never stop. So what makes you think that space programs are going to do that, especially if they've seen structures on the moon, on Mars, different places? You think they're going to stop? Hell no. They're just going to keep on doing what they're doing. Daniel, like that. Dan, to talk to text doesn't understand texting. I like that. Chris, you asked, do you think civilization has moved around from Venus to Mars to Earth? I think at one time in this solar system, there was people jumping the planets everywhere. That's what I think. Because our sun was different back in the day too, right? They said it might have not been just Mars and Earth, or it might have been either planet either side. How do we know? But the sun was much different. Now they're saying it's going to just keep expanding until it swallows every planet in the solar system. But I don't think you and I are going to have to worry about that. We'll be long since dead. We won't have to worry about that. But you get the idea, right? Hatchetman, you said if you lived on Mars and landed a rover on Earth in the middle of a Sahara desert, you would say, yeah, we could possibly live there. Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you had to adjust a little bit to the conditions of the air quality or whatever, or lack of, right, or more of, then you just bring a different breathing apparatus. But during the day on Mars, it's perfectly comfortable. When I say perfectly comfortable, it can be anywhere between 30 degrees, 10 degrees, to up to 104 degrees in the sun, of course. And like I said, it's so, yeah. But other than that, if the oxygen's a little thin, you might have a problem with that. Unless, of course, you mountain climb a lot, then you'd probably be okay with it. Right. Alien Tenno, right. You put on there, I remember in 1975 when the first Mars pics were shown live, rusty colored surface with a blue sky. Then it got colored, adjusted. Yeah. Well, they do that kind of thing, what was it? The craft they just had put it down on there. But it was funny when they had it in the control room, it showed like kind of like a rusty ground. Some of it wasn't so rusty. It was more like just a regular brown, dark brown. And they had blue skies. It wasn't 10 seconds later, boom, everything was red. Why? Why hide that? It was the Insight lander. They actually landed it. And like I said, the first photo that came through there, of course, it had a bunch of blotches on there. They say it was because of the dirt. Well, then it must be awfully wet dirt to be sticking on that camera, right? And if it is true, and it was actually like more of a mud than anything, then it makes sense. But I think they did it just to block out what might have been in that thing could possibly see, meaning a camera for the first time. But it was blue. The sky was blue regardless. Think about it. And like I said, I don't think it was 10 seconds later. It all went like a reddish, pukey color. Imagine that. And even a lot of people pointed out, oh my God, it was blue. Yeah. I think the atmosphere is a little thicker than they're claiming. Frank Miklos, if there was one, what photo of Mars convinced you that there was something more than NASA was telling us? Good evening from Beaver, Colorado. Oh, I'm sorry, Beaver, Pennsylvania. Well, it's like I said, there's a range of photos that I've seen. I was on the Mount Shop photos for a while because, like I said, when you look at the earlier photos, you got like these. You got the base of Mount Shop, and you've got what looks like all these buttes. But like I said, I use the analogy. It looked like a used car lot. They were all literally in a row. And so I was like, okay, so what makes buttes do that? Now I understand you can. Well, I'm sorry, hit the mic. I understand you can have a butte here, one way back in the background, one way over there, but they were literally on the side. You could still look at them. Some of these things, and you just look at them like this. They're all in a row, and then you see these other bigger objects behind and in front of. Kind of weird. So the more I looked at them photos, the more I could see what looks like these rectangular squares, what look like openings. It looked like different frame, like pieces of frame inside there, or things sticking out of the sides of them. Yeah, and the more you look at these things, and just look at the lines, look at the details in them, you'll see that there's actually much more in these photos than really meets the eye. And like I said, I think a lot of these mountains and buttes and everything else are being dressed up. Well, actually, these structures rather are being dressed up to look like these buttes. Like I said, just look at the lines in these things. Some of these things, it'll blow your mind. Pirate Dredger, you said bollocks. The radiation would kill them, Chris. Are you talking about being on Mars or the moon? Just curious. Rachel, 1975. How old are you then? Oh, okay. You're asking. Oh, how old are you? Brian Burgers, Bob Wallace, best friends, Wheelsburg, Ohio. Sweet. Next door neighbors. Hatcher Man, you can clearly see the color change. Can't you? It's crazy. That's a fact. Kitten Killer, hello all. What's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Brian Norton, yeah. What the hell? I go on vacation for a week and you're doing earlier chat. LOL. Well, I've actually said that because a lot of the UK viewers, a lot of the subs are in the UK, so I figured it'd make it easier for them. A lot of them say, man, I got to go. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, man, I got to make this earlier, so it just helps everybody out, right? So that's why we decided to do it. Sorry, I didn't mean to trip you up a little bit. Yeah, you're right about that, Phil. We can remember when the sun was yellow, the sky blue with fluffy white clouds, and not a chemtrail in sight. It was beautiful. You're right about that. And I don't ever remember that. I mean, I don't ever remember that just being all completely, milky with this crap. I mean, I could look outside and you can see these things crisscrossing everywhere. I mean, just boom, 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 everywhere you look, completely, and then you can always tell a contrail and a chemtrail, right? Contrail is nothing more than basically hot fuel, raw fuel coming out. It's kind of like your car. You got raw fuel when you first start the thing up in the cold, right? I forget how long it takes, but when you first start your vehicle, it's literally just raw engine. In other words, what happens is after a certain time, then the actual computer kicks in and manages the fuel. That's why you see idle start to drop. Well, even so, you got this raw, it's still raw fuel. It's not 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficient. A gas engine is not 100% efficient. So therefore, you're going to have some kind of exhaust coming out, right? But even so, you still see the steam coming out. All right, now take that steam and put it way up in the air where it's a lot colder aloft. Well, that's what happens. You get these contrails, but you will see them dissipate. After so long after it, depending on how cold it is, you'll see them kind of dissipate. Let's say there's a jet flying way over here and its contrail is way over here, but you'll see it like just dissipate as it's going along very slowly, but it goes along. Chemtrails are not. They literally linger and then they fluff outward. You can actually see them spread out into the sky, and they have these like fibers in them. It's chemicals. And a lot of people claim that they get these weird, what do they call it? It's like these weird fibers under their skin because of this stuff. Now, I haven't seen or heard anybody say that, but I've heard it in like videos and stuff like that, where the stuff, if you're exposed to it quite a bit, it actually gets under your skin. Not really sure about that, but that's what they say. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Dawn thing. Mr. Random, is the Earth flat or round? Absolutely round. Absolutely. I actually made a video on that and it said our Earth is not flat. You can check it out. Where I was on a jet. I think one of the things they claim is that the windows literally will distort a photo. So you get that weird, kind of rounded. I said, what are they talking about? It's like, it's not. I'm on the ground and I show photos. We're on the tarmac. I'm sitting on the jet and the windows didn't screw up the photo in any way, shape, or form. Everything you could see, like the tower, the control tower and everything else, all the antennas coming off completely straight, nothing bent. And then when we get into the sky, flying, cruising at 35, 40,000 feet, you can literally see there's a little curvature, but you can see it there. I made a straight line across. I showed it in the photo, and you can clearly see there's a curvature even at 40,000 feet. Some people say, no, that's not true. That's what I saw, and I actually proved it in my video. Janine Brogan, good day, good job today. Glad to hear about Mars again. Good to see you in there, Janine. Kenneth Lair, yep. Some of us have lived past 30. Still here, still kicking. Alien Tenno, you put, okay, we can take 4K pictures of other planets' bodies in our solar system, but we can't get 4K pictures of the moon from NASA. That is really? Well, and that's what everybody's argument is. Even the, you got like the Hubble. You see these photos are spectacular. You got these nebulas just taking photos of all of these different distant galaxies and everything. Just can't seem to get a good photo of Mars, though. Nothing close up. You always see these. To me, they're just like CGI, meaning when you show like a satellite photo, right? You can see what looks like. I mean, at one point they showed like the actual rover, right? Just a little pixel on the ground. I'm saying, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. We have the high-res camera on board the MRO, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. It's like I said, if you're like 6 foot, just get in a fetal position, you can literally fit this camera. That's how big this thing is. And you can see, like I said, a swath of like down to 4 feet area on the ground from space. Yet we never see that. I never see it. And it says it, how did it put it in the article? It says something unprecedented detail. I'll be damned. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you guys have, but I haven't. Tampa Girl, I remember the blue sky pic. Yeah, if you've watched the Insight Lander, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I said, in the control room, everybody's like moving. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, wow, ooh, yay. And of course, they're clapping and everything else. And then all of a sudden, not 10 seconds later, boom, it's all orange. Or that red pukey color. Doesn't make any sense, right? Well, Brian Norton, you put on it's always been called the Red Planet. Just another cover up to keep us in check. Yes and no, because here's the thing. From a distance, you can see that planet, and it's mostly probably dirt, right? If you look at our planet, it's made up of mostly what? Ocean. This is the reason why it's blue. And of course, we know the atmosphere does that too, right? But if you were to look at something from a distance, and it has, let's say it has virtually almost no water, but it has like huge lakes or whatever, what are you going to see more of? You're going to see the ground. So it's going to appear more ground than blue. And of course, it's got a lack of atmosphere. So you can actually see, just brown or red. But when India sent their mom satellite orbiter, they had a photo, and I did this on one of my videos. I actually showed where it was all that reddish pukey color. And the second I put it in Photoshop, I just went auto color. Let it figure its own colors out. This is the way, it will. And when you hit auto in Photoshop, it automatically, this is the way it sees the actual photo. And it came out like colors like here on Earth. How is that possible? But yet, and you can see an atmosphere there. You can see everything. Yeah. I don't think it's as barren or red, but because it's such a distance away, and if you got a lack of atmosphere and water, bodies of water, you're going to see more brown or reddish. So, but the closer you get to the planet, you start to see the ocean, start to see everything, right? There you go. Hatchet Man, come on, people, hit that like button. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation. What's the matter? Time for kids' juicy juice? All right, let's go down here. Alan Pope, yeah, great point. Earth has had life for 500 million years, so it's hard to discount anything. Well, I mean, think about it. Back in the day, everybody thought, oh, we're only 6,000 years old as far as man himself on the planet, right? Then it was 20,000. Then, and this goes by just ancient structures here and there. They're dating them back 17,000, 27,000, 35,000. Next thing you know, now man, or at least intelligent man, is like 250,000, 500,000 years old. And it's even more than that now. So, yeah, we're just, again, science everybody, we're just learning how to walk, just getting to know our surroundings. Same thing with outer space. It's no different. We're just learning, and we're learning. This is the reason why you see sometimes science will say one thing, a couple of years later, oh, wait a minute, scratch that. Why? Because they're constantly learning. They're evolving, and that's what it comes down to. Michael Stark, great question. Chris, why is it so hard to find a real pic of Earth? Each official pic has CGI, turned up color curving gain, and the entire circumference has square edits, looks cut out. And yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. What I strongly believe is that if they were to show everything there is to know or around the planet, I think people would be like, well, other countries would be wise to or be privy to the actual things that are out in space. And what I mean by that, it could be anything from other countries with their satellites over our country, military crafts, or satellites, or any of that sort, right? So I think it's more of a military thing that they're not really showing what's really around the planet, because I'd love to see it too. How many times have you guys seen like a rocket lift off in space and it shows the camera looking back at the engines, right? So it's taking off. You see the ground get smaller and smaller. But why don't they put the camera on facing forward? How come you never see that? Think about it. And now some people will say, well, it's because space is all fake, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that. I believe it's because you may see something you're not supposed to see. How many times you guys watched any of the NASA feeds, live feeds? And like they said, at any given time, we could change a camera because they want to change different angles down or around. And what they'll do is all of a sudden cut the feed. But then some people have caught just before they cut the feed, you see something coming into view. Now, if it was just our own satellite, they would just say, oh, by the way, that's a satellite of course, they could track every satellite, just like they got an air traffic control for all the damn satellites. But they know exactly which one is going by them at the time. This is the reason why, they track every satellite. So I think it's got to do with secret stuff that's up there, or there could be much more, like the tether incident. Remember that? When the tether broke off, they had all these what looked like these little discs and everything flying above and below it and everything else. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I strongly believe they just don't want us to know what's really out in space. And I also believe because due to military stuff too, right? Frack, what's going on, man? Appreciate the support. Good morning. Oh, that's right too, man. It's morning time for you as well, huh? Man. Well, it's kind of the same thing for us. Like we'll be sleeping in New Zealand and Australia will be up, right? So kind of the same thing, I guess. Hypersonic Mars project. You put on there, howdy from high desert of New Mexico. Some people say, or some say rather, 67P escaped hibernation craft, or it's a escape hibernation craft, maybe from Mars, and orbit, waiting for technical civilization to arise and save them. Would we want to? That depends on who they are. If they're a lot like us, then, possibly. I do. I actually believe that's some kind of artificial craft. Whatever it may be, whatever it was intended to be. And the reason why I say that is because I've done videos on this where it looks like this thing is literally, it's got framework. If you look at it carefully, it's got framework. It's got different things sticking out of it. I showed what looked like some kind of weird, it almost looked like these weird two Q-tip things sticking out of it. Weird stuff. And then it had like what looked like an opening in it and stuff like that. What these things are is beyond me, but they do actually stick out in a square. And these two things are sticking out. These could be sensors or some kind of stuff like that. Or it's hard to tell what it is. It's all speculation, of course. But, I think it's actually artificial. I don't think this is the reason why these guys are just going there. You know what I mean? Just constantly going to these things. Why? What's the point? You know how much work it takes to do that? Make a spacecraft, calculate where you're going to be able to meet up with this thing. Maybe you want a slingshot around the Earth to get it to meet there. The numbers involved got to be crazy to crunch. And then finally get there and either orbit it or try to land on it, which, some of these rocks they have, right? Let me see here. I'm going to go back down here just real quick. All right. That's better. Oh, wrong way. There we go. All right. Better. Much better. Let me go back up here. Uh, Daddy of 13, what are they scared of? Why are they trying to hide the truth? I think it goes up to military, to be truthful with you. I really do believe that. I think it's the military that's actually dictating what these space agencies can actually share, right? And because at some point, maybe it does. It's some kind of militarization. And it is like maybe they want to grab the stuff for themselves, don't want anybody to know, whatever the reason is. It's hard to tell, right? And I think I don't know why, but they think the average person can't handle it. And maybe some people couldn't. Like I said, we talked about what the astronauts probably seen on the moon, right? I can't imagine some of the things they saw. And just by the looks and the way they acted coming back, like on the Apollo 11 mission when they came back, just the looks and the way their body languages, oh my God, I can't even imagine what these guys saw. And they probably needed to get help after that. Let's just put it that way. Rachel Anderson, you put on, I also had another dream of Mars where there was a small town with lots of farming with foods and crops. And in the dream, I met a man and a woman. They were giant people with odd looking skull shape. Well, a lot of people said that, if the gravity is less there, you'd probably be more taller, spindly kind of looking thing with maybe a bigger head, so on and so forth. So it may not be that far fetched. And, they claim that, everything's, larger, meaning they were talking about, what do they have that? Remote viewing, where they had the guy, they just gave him coordinates. They didn't tell him where it was at. They just gave him coordinates and said, look for this. And the guy was like, yeah, I'm in this valley and the mountains are huge. And then they saw what looked like structures. And inside these structures, there was just like empty rooms, like there was nothing there. And some of the stuff, there was stuff there. Really crazy stuff. Now, whether all that's true, that's a whole different ballgame, right? Supreme Ruler, you put it took me a bit to find it in history, but uh, they all but they all but admitted chemtrails, but in their future. Well, that's the thing. It took them a while, but they said, yeah, they literally. I don't know if they're trying to basically make this planet hotter for a reason or for whatever reason, but it could also be, and of course, pure speculation again. It could be just a way to curve the population. Think about it. If you were to have no deaths other than natural death, what do you think the population explosion would be on this planet? I mean, you got everything from AIDS, drugs, car accidents, so on and so forth. The list goes on, right? And of course, you got, at the list, you got the ones that take more lives than anything each year, right? So picture not any other than natural death. What do you think the population would look like on this planet at this moment? You're going to eat up every resource, and eventually the civilization here on Earth is going to implode. It's going to happen. So is that one of the reasons why it's driving these people to find another planet or going back to maybe our own home planet and trying to recolonize or colonize Mars? Is that possible? Think about it. They had crops and were farming for food. The town looked like a desert. It wouldn't surprise me though. There was a article in there and they're saying that, and I think I've told you guys this, but back in 1975, the Viking Lander literally did its own test. And, it told, of course, we found out the composition of the soil and everything else. And what we did is we took some ash from some volcanic ash from our, of course, here on Earth. We mixed it with it and the plants grew incredible. Think about that a minute. So they did the same composition and what Mars is made of, add some ash to that, boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden everything grew like crazy. So it actually grew better than you can grow here on Earth. Think about that a minute. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, Michael, that one's been disproved. Chris, have you seen the Mars pic Navcam left on Curiosity Solve 50? Please tell me that's not a person without a helmet and working on the rover. Some people saw that, and no, that's not true. It's the actual the turret, the arm, well, the turret arm, where it literally comes up and comes back, and all this other stuff. And it was the way it was positioned in the sun. It made it look like there's somebody literally leaning over it and actually working on it. Nah, um, it was the turret arm. That's what easiest. Excuse me. That's good stuff. So yeah, that's the easiest way to answer that. But a lot of people was like in a frenzy. Oh my God, there's somebody there now. What was that woman there that claimed that too? She said that I think she's seen photos that it looked like footprints of military walking towards one of the rovers. I don't know how true that is. I didn't see anything else other than her claim, so I don't know. This fan will actually dry out your throat. Got one sitting right up here, and I got one on the ceiling. Let's see. Well, yeah, Hatchet Man. I always wondered about that on the rover pictures. Why is there always tracks in the photo, like it's going away from something? A lot of people ask me. They say, "Well, Chris, why don't they go up to these darn things and look at these strange anomalies?" Right? I think they do. They absolutely do. And so, yeah, I think they are, but you just don't see it then. In other words, they look like they're going around it. They'll take a photo, but then circle back around, have a look at these objects. And keep in mind, these cameras are, depending on the distance from the rover, right? Um, they can literally take a picture. They can zoom in and, take a picture of something. So they don't have to literally be at it unless, of course, it's something of great interest. Then they're going to want to hit it with the laser, take a composition of the steam coming off the rock, take a composition like it basically sniffs the steam, right? So yeah. Then you put on the. I've heard some archaeologists say that the history book is a fictional book. I don't know if you're talking about the Bible or whatever it was, but fictional book. And one of the guys, maybe that's the extreme view, said there is no known fiction book at all that deals with history. Um, Actually, there are. I mean, there's a lot of books out there that's got to do with history, and of course, brought down or whatever. And of course, some of the books have been destroyed, so it's by word of mouth. And we know how stories can be twisted there because you get, remember that old test they used to do in school? They'd start with like, let's say there's 26 kids in the class, and they go, "Okay, Jimmy, Alice went to the store to get candy, and she came back home, and whatever, whatever story." By the end of all the kids would tell it, and it'd be totally twisted by the time it got there, right? So this goes to show you, over the course of years, everything can be twisted big time. Let's see. Rachel, believe it or not, I've actually had dreams about that where you put on the announcer. I had no idea that other people had these dreams. I had a dream where they literally went there and seen these structures. And while walking to one of the structures, you can see it's like half, like completely just see like a piece of this building. And there's a door to walk in. And as you walk down this hallway, there's like this elevator. And it was kind of weird. It was kind of like, it still had a power source. So you could still hit the button. You can still go down the thing. I was like, what the hell? And it's weird how it's like, you get down there and there's like this huge city underground. And of course, it literally makes your hair tingle because you see this huge cavern and you see all of this city in there. And I'm trying to remember what other movie that reminded me of too. There was another movie that reminded me of similar to that. And I said, wow, that is weird. But maybe it's something we want to see happen in our minds. Who knows? But or it may very well be that because all of these things we're seeing in these photos, right? So yeah, I strongly believe there's a lot more there than what they're putting on, what they're telling the people, they're putting us on. Let's put it that way. You're right about that, Shep. There's a fine line between dreams and reality. That's true. Absolutely. Always dreaming of space. You put on there more. Yep. Heck, when I was a kid, man, and hell, I was in fourth, fifth grade, man. It was like we had. It was actually in sixth grade as well. I remember us having this project we had to do, and I built like an astronaut suit and had like walkie talkie. Had the big yeah, and that was back in the day. So it's kind of like like you kind of like it's instilled in you. You know what I mean? Kind of thing, like in your DNA, like space. You know what I mean? You want to be out there. Everything about space just intrigues you, and you want to know more. So yeah. Alien Tenno, Chris, what are your thoughts on the Black Knight satellite? Some people said it's been there for, I don't know, it would probably be about 40,000 years by now. Um, and they say Nikola Tesla said that he had what he thought he received was an actual signal from Mars, but then some people say it might have been from this black knight. Now, NASA's passing it off as a thermal blanket. Now, if you look at the pictures of this thing, you can see it's off in the distance, and you can see the craft that they're on. I forget exactly which one it is. Maybe you guys will know off the top of your head. I don't remember off the top of my head, but you can see the astronaut. He's holding on to this craft, and you can see where the blanket was supposed to go. You got one on the left, one on the right, at least from the actual view of the astronaut. The other one was missing. So you go, okay, well, it makes sense. It's a thermal blanket. Makes absolute sense to me. But you see this thing off in the distance. It's black. It's not shiny. Now, some of them were shiny. Some were more like a gold color. But when you look off in the distance, you go, okay, wait a minute. The blanket was like the size of the astronaut's torso. I forget what it was, like a 4 foot by 4 foot, something like that, maybe a little bit larger. But yet, this thing's way off in the distance, and it's bigger than the darn astronaut. So you go, okay, so what gives? They're using this as a cover story, even though they did actually lose one of these thermal blankets, and then they're just claiming, yeah, that's what that is. And they're just using it as a cover story to it. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, I had something similar to that, Rachel. Same thing. Chris, what I saw was a huge building on Mars with a collapsed building, and it had no ceiling or nothing living there. It was almost looked like a great. Exactly. I've seen stuff like that myself. Deborah, good question. You said, what are your thoughts on remote viewers who claim they've been to Mars? Well, like I said, they had that one guy, and I forget what his name is now. And like I said, they literally gave him an envelope. Sit down. Here's an envelope. Gave him some coordinates. Didn't tell him where it was at. And like I said, he claimed to see all these weird things, what look like almost like pyramidal structures. These like kind of like Rachel saying too, like they had like these, no roofs or ceilings on these things, very large structures too. And then he actually ran into these people, and they were very tall. But he said, and they told him, interact with them, ask them why they're here. And if I remember the story correctly, they said that they were dying and that they were sending their representatives of their own people, right, to find another planet to live on. So, okay, is that possible? That's why we're here. Think about that. So I kind of said, wow, I was kind of blown away by the story. I'm thinking, and this remote viewing goes way back now. This is not like last year or 10 years ago. This goes way back. And what I thought was interesting is when he said that, I'm going, yeah, we're actually sending people out to look for another planet because we're dying here. And I'm like, wow, that's just bizarre. And of course, we're here. Of course, again, is that the connection? Maybe, maybe not, right? It's hard to tell. There he is. Hey, he couldn't, always talking trash. There he is, Mr. Brucey boy. Avni Quebec Astronomy. So anyway, where's it at? Where's that proof, baby? Show us the proof. Because anything else is just open talk, just bullshit talk. That's all it is. That's all it is. So, bye-bye. Good seeing you. So anyway, funny as hell. What do you let's see. Let me see. Where did it go? I don't want to keep where I was at here. You're right about that, about Bruce. Yeah, he's funny. You know what? This is the way I waited for everybody to get on here. I said we were not going to talk about it. We're not. He's done. There's plans for him. I'm not going to do anything. I'm done. He can go ahead and spout off as much as he wants. And you know what? Because like I said, I did the video so we wouldn't have to talk about this all night because I'm not going to do it. Pretty much done. And if it gets him through the night to talk about me, then he's leaving somebody else alone. That's the way I look at it. And the fact is, the challenge is still there, Bruce. Just prove it. Because anything else coming out of your mouth is just bull. It's empty talk. That's all it is. It's just trash talking and just, so, have at it. Talk about me. At least you'll leave somebody else alone. That's the way I look at it. So again, done. Anyway, guys, so let's continue. Like I said, Leatherneck Joe, he sent me a sol. I'm going to be checking that out. Paul Bland asked about two particle clouds that orbit the Earth at a similar distance to our Earth. To our moon, rather. So I put on there, I looked this up myself because I wasn't entirely sure about, the whole, I heard about it from more than one person, but didn't know anything about it. So I got the page here. Astronomers have detected a ghostly dust cloud orbiting our Earth. Now, it is about the same distance to the moon, or at least somewhere on the same distance, right? Of course, they say for decades, the existence of weird space clouds in Earth orbit have been speculation and controversial, but new research looks to validate their strange reality after all. Trying to remember how they say this. The Kordaluski clouds, as they call it, two mysterious swarms of dust trapped between the competing gravitational fields of Earth and the Moon, were first hypothesized back in the 1950s, although evidence for their existence was faint. Now, a new study by researchers of course, there's a university in Hungary, helps make the case for these unusual, ever-present satellites in the sky. The Kordaluski clouds are two of the toughest objects to find, and though they are as close to Earth as the Moon, they are largely overlooked by researchers in astronomy. And I can give you guys that page. It's pretty interesting. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and drop this right down here if you guys are interested in it. Hopefully it'll be able to do it, because sometimes it won't do that. It'll be saying that the address is too long or whatever. Hatcherman, you said all we have is depictions on cave walls to try and tell us about early life, and it would be the same way now. If we lost power throughout the world, we would draw pictures of what's going on around us. And yeah, I mean, even the ancient civilizations, they talked about this, because people go, well, why would they draw such a thing? If you go back to, I believe it's some of the Indians, the native Indians here in the United States, where they drew what looked like aliens and stuff like that, and looked like little crafts and stuff like that. These people are going to just draw this stuff just because they're just bored. They're doing it because it's something that triggered them to want to do it, right? It had to be a driving force for them to do it, right? So that's why they drew it. So it's a very good possibility. And I think you're right. I mean, if we ever got knocked, if the power was completely out on this planet, oh my God, it would just basically knock us back to the prehistoric days, only without the dinosaurs, right? So if that ever happened, yeah, look out. Total pandemonium. Nacho, you're right about that. There are some videos showing one of the space shuttles going close to the Black Knight. It's not a thermal blanket. No way in hell. Yeah. I'll find the link. Yeah. Go ahead and drop it, because I know which one you're talking about, because I've seen it myself. But drop it down in case nobody else has seen it. MG Toe, you put in, it's very, very difficult to find a picture of Earth without water, which is very true. It looks like a big chunk was taken out of it. And there is your moon. Well, they say that. They actually said, well, something slammed into it, and of course, it became our moon. But there was a time when they said, the ancient people said they remember the time when their moon actually came into existence. So it's actually much older than Earth, which is really bizarre. At least that's what they're saying. Scientists are saying it's much older than Earth. So think about that a minute. So they're thinking that this thing was brought in and not actually part of Earth itself. But you're right about what you're saying. If you were to take like a topography and just, like, in other words, you can eliminate all the water here on Earth, you would get, like, of course you're going to have concave areas, because you got the oceans that are deeper than hell. And, you just have these really deep oceans, right? So that's what it appears to be, like something slammed into it, and then we got our moon. But then they're saying it's much older than Earth. So yeah. Photography, light, and magic. Yeah, you're right about that, about NASA. Yep. Yeah, full of it. All right. ABG, ABS 030. Good one. Yes, I have. Al Utterback, you put on there, hey, Chris, how you doing? I think you'd be good for radio. You ever heard of Art Bell? Absolutely. Coast to Coast Radio. I listen to him all the time. He was just good at what he did. Kind of remind me of him. Yeah, I mean, he's actually, anytime I get a chance, I would listen to like the older ones and stuff like that. And interesting shows. He always had interesting shows. McGust, afternoon, Chris. Beauty day today here in Rainy River. Well, yeah, it turned out to be real. Actually, it's still 96 degrees Fahrenheit here. Insanely hot. Um, feel like of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Smoking. Yes, Mike Hoover, you're right. The doggone tribe, Think Zulu. Yep, because they even claim that their gods or their people came down from the heavens, right? And there's many old ancient civilizations that talk that way. In fact, even in biblical writings, they talk about just about any ancient religious, um, writings, their books, whatever it may be in Sanskrit. They talk about how the gods came down from the heavens and taught them different things, agriculture. Some of them even taught language, so on and so forth. Were these people sci-fi writers way back in the day? I don't think so. I think they were influenced by something, so therefore it's got to be something to it, at least a little bit, right? What would be more scary, a UFO landing, an alien getting out of, or a human getting out from the past Earth cycle? That's a great question. I don't know if I even know the answer to that. It's hard to tell, but we don't know because the last Earth cycle, and supposedly we're in the fifth. If there was these other cataclysms back in the day, well, then think about it. The way they were talking, we could have been much more advanced than we are today because, after so many years, everything gets buried, had to start from scratch, or at least pretty much, right? Because they say every time there's a cataclysm or something like that happens here on Earth, the total population doesn't get wiped out, right? So it doesn't get lost. But how do you continue to build anything if you've got nothing to work with? No electricity, nothing, and everything gets buried over the course of time and depends on the cataclysm you have, right? Great flood, things like that. So, yeah. Yeah. Just move this thing a little bit. Well, you're right about that too, Rachel. Yeah, for a planet to become round, as it spins, it goes through a clumping process where it clumps rocks into it. So it probably didn't have enough material to fill in some of the spots on Earth that could on the Earth. Well, see, and that's the thing. You're right, and I totally agree with that. I mean, if you think about it, just about every planet we see is round. However, it's got its own oceans too, as well. Some are gaseous, but they're all round. Now, again, if you could take an X-ray of the planet itself without the water on it, what would it look like? You know, so you're going to have it's not going to be completely spherical. It's going to have chunks missing out of it and everything else. Kenneth Riley, good night, Chris. Keep up the good work. Well, Kenneth, thanks for stopping in. Always appreciate it, man. Corey, either one getting out would be jaw dropper. Yeah, I think so too. I think everybody would be like totally like the original Data Earths is still, right? Watch it. You put on there, Chris. Love your hard work. And by the way, we have bright moon shining here. Life everywhere outside of Earth grabs us by the throat. Is it possible these? This all reaches back to primal feelings. Greets. Yeah. I mean, it's probably instilled in our DNA, right? I mean, think about it. It's like we just want to get out and we want to explore. We have this need to do that. Of course, it might be just natural curiosity, right? But there's got to be something driving that curiosity, like our Curiosity rover. Now, so I believe that, I think it is. I think it's part of our DNA. I think it's something we're trying to go back to something, or again, it might be just as simple as, you know, just plain curiosity. And if we always want to reach further, we always want to do better. We always want to do, you know what I'm saying? Shep, you put on the I see puppies if we look hard enough. Oh, well, that's a good possibility too. MC Gamer, you put on there Kepler 452b. What is your views on the second Earth, Chris? 1457. I'm sorry, 1456 rather light years, give or take away. I've seen. There's another one too, isn't there? Trying to remember if it's not just the 452b. It was something else. There was another planet that they found, and they're saying it could be a lot like Earth in the Goldilocks zone. And they're finding a ton of these now. So, what do you think is going to happen? Send an orbiter. So they're going to be ramping up big time, guys. Wait until the next, 5-10 years. They're going to be going all over the place. As soon as they get these rockets perfected, and what I mean by that is, I mean like ion drives, different propulsions, different rockets. They're going to be everywhere. I mean, they're going to be in every part of the solar system and exo solar system, right? We're going to see a lot more of that. And like I said, I think a lot of these, they're starting to see a lot of these where you got a star and it's got its planets, and it's just like us. We're falling into the Goldilocks zone, like Mars and Earth. And I think I think Mars was a little bit more in that Goldilocks zone, meaning the sun was stronger and brighter at one point. And this is the reason why it probably had a lot more life on it at the time, right? And then, of course, something happened to its atmosphere, and of course, it lost it all. Well, at least pretty close to it. Huh, there you go. Studious realism. Clash of the Titans movie last night. Was there a remake of that? Because I know the older one was back in the 80s. Pretty good for back in the time, right? Yes, Alien Tenno. Yeah, most craters on the moon are roughly the same depth, but vastly larger diameters, and that's true. I mean, you got some that are like mile, even bigger across, and yet they're no deeper than the ones that are a lot smaller. How is that possible? Can you imagine if you can picture a rock that down big on some of these craters that are a mile, if not plus more, hitting that moon, and yet it's the same depth? Let's suppose for a moment it was a big rock. Okay. First of all, if it was a lot deeper, what filled it in? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So I don't believe that damn thing is real. I think it's artificial. I think it's intelligently made. And like I said, when you look at this thing, and just about all of them, it look like everything smacked right into it, like straight on. Look at them. How many do you see that are oblong? You do see some, but very rarely. Most of them are like they hit on the planet, on the moon rather, straight into it. They didn't drag into it. They didn't. Really bizarre stuff. Yes, Star Trek really is just around the corner. Well, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they got something much more than we can imagine right now. I say we're not seeded from here, and our curiosity is driven from being homesick. Well, that could very well be. Again, it may be just in our DNA, right? And we just have this feeling that we just need to go back. I think, like I said, I think at one time, both Mars and Earth, well, I think we used to go back and forth to it at one time. Is it can I back that? No. Again, there's no way to vet any of that. It's pure speculation. But that's a good possibility, especially when you see the things that are on Mars, and it's a lot of similarities to what we got here on Earth, right? So, yeah. Get this out of the way here. Here we go. What else was this? And they got another one here. It's they call it snowball exoplanets might be better for life than we thought. And basically, they're saying that most of these planets that are full of ice, they usually have like these giant lakes, bodies of water under the ice, right? And they say there's a lot of living organisms. Like, I mean, we have this in Antarctica. We have them, the poles. You go deep under the ice, and you got these weird luminescent creatures. You got all kinds of weird things floating around and swimming around under there. And life can find a way, guys. And I think they're aware of this. And this is the reason why they're trying to go to these frozen moons. They're trying to go to Titan. They're trying to go to different other places. And that's pretty interesting as well. Divine Catlian, I'm sorry, Catlin. Hello, everyone. Just got here. Good to see you in there. Hello, Bray. Back to you, Divine. Renee, you said, yeah, Star Trek is already there. I believe, listen, again, if they've been, I want you guys to imagine you're the first one to make, let's say you're the inventor, like, Ford, okay? You're the first inventor of the first combustion engine, so on and so forth. Would you stop? Okay, that's good enough. We made it, so we can go 5 to 10 miles an hour. We're good. Or do you continue to improve it? No, you continue to improve it. Look what we got today. Like I said, we got cars that work on hydrogen, total electric, different fuels. So who says that we would stop? And I don't think they did. And of course, they got this kind of like this black ops thing going on where they're just above anything else. And it could just very well be just military, right? Studious realism, you put the moon as a machine, nature and structure. So you're saying it's like built into, it seems to me, you may be correct in this, but I look at it this way. I look at the moon and I look at the way this thing's built. If you look at just some of the craters, look at the walls when you see them straight down, and it almost looked like it was put together. Like, it's like if you did a project for school and you made it like this big, let's say a volcano experiment or some kind of like small model of it. And of course you make it erupt and all that other good stuff. But it seems like it's been made kind of like that. If you look at something, they look like I don't know how to explain it. It just doesn't look real on the sides of the walls. Now, it may be just the way the photos are taken. It could very well be. But again, it just seems weird how these rocks are flying right into the moon straight on. Doesn't make any sense. And because it's locked in the position that it's in, then how are these rocks flying straight down onto the moon and straight up to the moon? But yet you always see rocks going this way. They're always flying this way or something. I don't know. It's crazy the way this thing is. I think it's actually intentionally made. I think it's just it may be partially natural, and then they just built it to make it look natural. You know what I'm saying? So is it possible it's both, like you're saying? Very good possibility. Europa has life on it. I actually believe that's true. Yeah. You're right about that. Like, yeah, our boy Billy Carson has been all over the place lately. You're right about that. You can always see his post touchdown or liftoff. Pretty funny. Yeah, he's definitely busy. He's a busy man. Rachel, you put on there, even if Mars had a nuke program in the past that killed its civilization, and geothermal nuke would keep the planet warm. Yeah, you would think so. You know what I mean? I guess it depends on how severe. I guess there's a lot of variances to that, but there's a good possibility. Daniel Webster, you put on there, yeah, please drop the link. Always was under the impression that in all likelihood it was a blanket. I would love to see though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you see this thing, again, it's further away from the astronaut. He's still, on the actual craft, and you can see this in the distance. Go, wait a minute. This thing wasn't much bigger than the guy's, like I said, the torso from his neck down to his waist, and yet this thing is way off in the distance, and it looks a lot bigger than he does. How is that possible? Oh, Nacho, you put on there at Rachel. I lost my internet connection, so I didn't get to see what you wrote. Okay. What's going on there, Metalhead? Good to see you there. All the way over there from Cali. Good to see you there, bro. Al Utterback, see you guys. You're doing a great job, Chris. Keep being yourself. You're not a fake. That's why You are so likable. Have a good night. Well, I appreciate that, man. You do the same and have a good week coming up there, right? ABS 0303 is in the house as well. He's saying, what's up, Metal? No, you won't be blocked here. Metalhead, no. We don't do that stuff. You can actually disagree with me, and I won't do that. Now, because it's like I said, when it comes to these, types of pictures, our views, it's just opinions, right? Nobody's ever going to agree with me all the time. I don't expect them to. Everybody's got their own minds, their own different interpretations, so on and so forth. No, we don't do that stuff here. Actually, man, it is nice with an early stream. We can get everyone in here, even the man not needed mentioning. Oh, yeah. Well, he popped in, but we throw him out. Like I said, from now on, he can talk to trash. As long as he's talking about me, he's leaving somebody else alone. And he can keep, falsifying everything and talk trash and keep getting his, his subscribers to believe everything he's saying. That's fine. I'm done with that. I'm all set. Let's see. Oh, did you leave the link, Nacho? Huh. I didn't see it. How long ago did you leave it? I'm looking at this thing. I'm not seeing it. Mike Hoover, you put on there, Chris, we are missing a video. Skid marks, shipwreck, satellite dish found. Oh, are you talking about the moon? Ian Hall, the heaviest part of the moon is not its center. How can it hold in almost perfect orbit with this being true? Have you ever tried rolling in off center? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's tough to do, isn't it? Metalhead, you put on there, Chris, do you think humans are on the moon already? I want to believe so. And I don't mean because, I hope so. I mean, I think they have. Like I said earlier, I think because they were able to go to the moon back in the 60s and early 70s, right? I believe that they did that and they never stopped. They could use a different craft. Who's to say that they didn't use a couple more of these space shuttles? How do we know? It can literally take off. Well, it had to be piggybacked, the first ones, right? They all had to be piggybacked. And once they did, and they come out into space, everything was fine. And they built the ISS. So if we were to take the cargo, you guys remember the actual doors used to open up like this in the cargo hold of the shuttles. Why not make that a whole fuel cell and just have a smaller compartment and just bring whatever they need? How do we know that they didn't continue on doing work like that and just, it can take off from Earth, go out into space, go right to the moon and land? How do we know? I mean, they can easily take off of the moon. That's not going to require that much fuel, right? Come right back, fly right in like it used to do when it was building the ISS, come right into the atmosphere, fly right in like a regular plane. How do we know? I believe there are. I believe we never stopped. And like I said, it may be more of like a black ops project, and they're there and established. Now, are they really? Again, no way to vet this stuff, right? Hatchet Man, I would love another video with you and Billy, Chris. That was a great video. Yeah, I mean, last time, like I said, I was in Florida. He was busy at the time. He was actually I'm trying to remember where he was at first. I think he was in Ohio, kind of jumped around. And I said, well, I missed him this time, but maybe we'll do like a hangout or something like that and get him in there too. Be nice to be able to do that again. And yeah, he's very knowledgeable, man. He's jumping all over the place. He's got a busy lifestyle, do what you got to do. Okay. See if I can find it real quick. Do. I want to get that right now for you guys, if I can get it. All right, let me. All right, here's the video here. I'm going to go ahead and drop this. Yeah, I think I've got the video. You're talking about the one from YouTube, right? I'm going to go ahead and post that. Yeah, that's the one he's talking about as far as the Black Knight satellite. And I believe it's got the what do you call it in as well. Let's see if I can find this thing here. But that's not the one that has the shuttle next to it, though. So I'm not sure how true that one is. I don't believe I've ever seen that one. Do. But that's the link right there. Alien Tenno, yeah, I know what you're saying there. As far as the we Homo sapiens are the bastard creation of the Anunnaki. They violated the Prime Directive for their own gains and desperate action from the dying race. Would we be any different? Probably not. And you remember, if you remember correctly, they had a fight with themselves, saying, why don't we just go ahead and extinguish the race now? Because basically, they just basically used us for mining and stuff like that. And then they were just like, okay, just go ahead and trash the rest of them. And they said, well, no, we're not going to do that. Just leave them be. And of course, we are who we are today, right? So, yeah, very good possibility. Do you think they use anti-gravity or fuel or both? I think they use both. They've been working on anti-gravity for years, and I mean going back to like 40s and 50s. And because, like they said, you get like mercury, put it into a container, spin it so fast, apply electricity around it, you get this anti-gravitational, these effects to it. And they've been working. You can look it up on YouTube. They've been talking about anti-gravity and stuff like that, and you can see where they've done experiments and try to bring this stuff up and make it meaning rise and do things and stuff like that. Really interesting stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Danny Webster, I don't know if most people know this. It is illegal for money to be missing from Congress, not to be aware of it, where said Congress is supposed to be aware of everything. Yeah, but yet, what was it, like $4 trillion back in 2000, early 2000, went missing. But nobody knows where it went. Yeah, they don't understand why there's a deficit. Stuff just disappears, man. Johnny T, great question. You put on there, do you think we got a lot of the backwards engineering technology, not just from Roswell, but from the moon alien technology? Well, if what we're seeing on the moon, these structures, these what look like crash craft, and these craft have been there for thousands of years or whatever, and we went up there, and I strongly believe that's not what they were there for, not just rocks. Again, I think that's a PR move. I think that they were there to see technology, and I think that's where they got a lot of it from. And this may be the reason why they may be able to fly interplanetary. I don't think it's a problem. Although, if you go by the way our space programs are going, it's slowly getting, at least for the public, it is. Now, is it much more high tech for these military secret crafts and stuff like that? I believe it is. Paul Merlo, good evening, Chris. Your bedroom door is open. Huh? Oh. I think we're good. Mike Gus, you put in there, got to head out. Have a great week, Chris. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here, Mick. And you do the same thing, man. Have a good week coming up. Not really sure, William. You put on the greetings from West Virginia, Clarksburg. Do you have any comments on the green monster and gasaway? Truthfully, I'm not sure. I don't. I see they opened up a small museum in Sutton. I heard about it, but I don't know a whole lot about it, to be truthful. So I really can't answer that. But I'd like to know more about it. It's kind of like, is it kind of like this myth type thing? Because I know we got like the Mothman, got all that kind of good stuff. and just kind of curious because I'm not sure, to be truthful with you. James Ruenfelder. Well, gotta go. I'll keep asking when I'm on. Hopefully, I'll get my answer one day. Well, I didn't even know if I even got you. This thing keeps jumping up on James. Let me go back. Maybe I jumped. Maybe it jumped right over you. And trust me, what's my intention? Let me see. Let me see. I'm not seeing it. I'm going way back here too. Well, if you got time, drop it again there, James. Paulo de Silva. Good evening, Chris, and to all in the chat room. What's going on there, Paulo? Good to see you in there. Come to California Conference. That's right, too. When is that one? Is that in the end of the year, or is that in... I think it's almost... Is it in November? When was that one there coming up? Elon Musk is really afraid of AI, and I believe him. Yeah, I mean, if you think of like, you think of these robots attacking people or just artificial. It doesn't have to be a robot itself, right? It could be anything that's AI, and he believes that it can get out of control, and he's right. I mean, if you think about the movie The Terminator, right? Yeah. So how it got smarter and basically took over man, and basically, we're just basically a bacteria on the planet to them. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think they would put like a fail-safe kind of thing in there so these things wouldn't do that. Because if it could be dreamt up, meaning like in Terminator, they said how, the machines get smart, they took over. Well, you would think they put a fail-safe in it to make sure that absolutely would not happen. Now, would they get smart enough to disarm it or take out that part of the circuitry? Anything's possible, right? You guys remember when they had, what robot was that? Or what computer was that? They were playing the best chess players in the world. And at first it was getting beat. And suddenly got smarter and beats them every time, no matter what. Wouldn't surprise me. Nacho Libre, one of the best things about this live stream is they'll never stop to impress me. There always so many good conversations and thoughts on this channel and no fighting. Just love that. Absolutely, Nacho, and I agree. That's what I love. Good people. That's why I like it. You know what I mean? I don't have to have people fighting amongst each other and everything else, and I don't want that. I like the idea you guys are talking back and forth, throwing comments, this, that, and that. That's what this is all about. It's the way it is, It's the way I like it. Daniel put on there, by the way, excellent link. It does not look like a blanket. No, not that thing. But there is another video out there that has the actual space shuttle, or one of the other. I'm trying to remember what it was now. It's been a while since I've seen this thing, but it literally showed it near it, and it was pretty big for this so-called blanket, right? Hush Whisper, you put on the, you look like a wise man. Do you know why our planet or you put has sent over 200 rockets since last year from our planet? Not sure I get the question. I sent the rockets where? It says from our planet. I get that part, but I mean, okay, you put planet, it's supposed to be has sent over 200 rockets since last year from our planet. If you're talking about for just space missions going to different planets, meaning, between orbiters, rovers, other things like that, that would explain it. And like I said, I think they're going to other places more than what they're just telling the public, right? And there's times where there's a lot of them. They're just saying what's going on and they're telling everybody, right? IBS 0303, megalithic building appears on nearly every continent, e.g., or ergo rather, pyramids, but not one civilization continued to build this way. The tech or the people were lost. Cataclysm. Yeah. I mean, there's civilizations where they were there just like the Mayans. They were there and now don't get me wrong, there's descendants, so not all of them died clearly. But I mean, like a lot of these ancient civilizations, they were there and then just vanished. Now, some of them think, well, they moved off because they were having wars with these other groups of people and so on and so forth, and they left. But, or most of them were killed off, so they didn't have a choice, right? But yeah, kind of weird. Renee, yeah, you put, yep, Chris, you are right. We are interested in the same. You do a good job, Chris. Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, I mean, if everybody's got the same kind of mindset, like, just wanting to know, so on and so forth. I've said this 100 times. It's like, listen, we do the videos, we learn together. There's times where I see something, I think it's this, but then I get totally corrected. And what I mean by that is in a good way, because I can just guess what something may be in this photo and say, well, this is what it looks like to me. What do you guys think? And then sometimes you guys will come out with something. I'll go, damn, I never even looked at it like that. They're right. I mean, it's all about learning. It's a learning curve. And anybody's going to say, no, this is the way it is. And, you got to just listen to what I say because basically I'm playing God. Then they're wrong. It's not right. There's no way you can vet any of the stuff you're seeing. There's no way to do that. You could come close. You could say what you think it is. But to say, no, this lore is eternal, or this is it, boom. No, wrong answer. Not the way to do it. I like that. It's pretty good. Let me see. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I haven't listened for the space shuttle in a while. I shouldn't say space shuttle. I was going to say, yeah, I'm looking at the space shuttle, so that's what kind of fooled me. But the ISS, need to turn it on. Let you guys listen to it one day if I can catch it, because they don't always talk. That's what sucks. All right, here's the one I think it's the one I've seen. So thank you, Nacho Libre, for that. I'm going to drop this link. This is the one I believe is with the actual thermal blanket. There's a link to the video. Yeah, it just mysteriously appeared. That's crazy. You and me both, Rachel. I wish I was smart enough to create a spaceship. That would be pretty interesting. I'll tell you what, if I was a multi-millionaire, I'd figure out a way, one way or the other. Centaurus, Bigfoot Adventures, Alexa. I actually got one of those. I got a shh. Decision making is the next step to us being controlled even further. We are doomed to serve the robots. I think it can be, and I think it can get out of hand if we allow it to. But if there's an absolute fail safe, we'll be fine. If not, you may be right. We may all be screwed. We may be SOL, right? Richard Frost space shuttle or X-37? No, it's the actual space shuttle, not the X-37, even though it looks like a miniature shuttle, right? This goes back some years. This is during the actual shuttle missions. You could be right there, Martian Sunset. I figured out where crop circles came from. It all started when computer graphics became available for making pictures. You might be right about that, but keep in mind they had some way back in the day where computers weren't even around. Now, again, can you tell where these photos are at? And of course, they said that a lot of these were faked. And remember, it showed the two guys. I think it was only two guys that literally. It was funny because they had like these ropes, and they had like a board just on there, and they would just step, and they keep going around. I don't think that's the real deal. I think they did that just to say, yeah, just to get everybody off the beaten path, so to speak. Yeah. These were all done by people, and I think some of it was actually intentionally faked. But then some of these things are too, man, come on. Some of these things are made that just, there's no way they could have done this with some kind of boards and stuff. Just some of them are so intricate. And that's why I like to actually check out some of these things, because they're like there overnight. And it's so intricate, there's just no way they could do this. How do we know it's not like a laser from space and they're just kind of like, well, let's just try it out, and just burns it into the ground? How do we know, right? Sky Team Galaxy. Chris, have you ever seen a UFO in your life? I have. Back in my teens, A buddy of mine was at his house, and you could see, like I said, this park. We had this big clock tower. It was a four-faced clock tower, and we used to go up there and we used to just play hide and seek and stuff like that and hang off the side of this thing. It's huge. It's off the ground. It's pretty high in the air. And what it was it had a door at the base of it, and when you go down all the way to the bottom, it was a place where they used to get slaves in through there. So what they would do is, uh, you know, of course, this was way back in the day, right? So then what they do is they blocked it all off, and the door you can't get into it. And then they had, and then basically it was closed off to the public. I mean, except for the bottom, because everybody was just a park. You know, had swings, pools, and everything else. And then so we used to play up there a lot, hang out and stuff like that. Well, one day I'm looking up there, and we're just sitting there. I said, "What the hell is that?" And it would look like it's I don't know if it was a greenish. It was like a greenish blue and red light. I said, "What the heck is that up there?" And he's like, "I don't know." And you can literally see it just come off the tower and just keep going. I'm saying, "No, there's no way." We went back there the next day and we seen what looked like depressions in the ground, and it was almost like in a triangular shape, but yet had these round pieces in the ground, like the indentions in the ground. Now, it's hard to tell. Was somebody playing games up there? Was it? But it just didn't make any sense that you seen these lights coming off this tower, and yet these things are there. I don't know. Crazy stuff, man. It's getting to the point. I don't know if you guys have done this yourself, but almost everybody you know has seen something strange in the air. Now, was it an actual unidentified flying object, meaning not of this earth, or was it something they seen that's ours, right? It's hard to tell. This thing jumped up. There's an interesting comment here, guys. MG you put, despite popular belief, we breathe nitrogen 70% and oxygen 28%. Other gases 2%. Just blow off a couple of nitrogen bombs at each. Well, you said CO2. Well, carbon dioxide rather. Well, monoxide pole, and you create an atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, I seen this before where they talked about that, and I'm not exactly sure of the intricate details they were talking about. But if you really wanted to terraform or create an atmosphere somewhere, I'm sure it could be done. Of course, it's got to be done. I'm going to use the term with the right ingredients. If the planet like the Earth, let's say it was kind of like Mars, well, we know it still has something to it. In other words, it still has, we think it's got microbial life. It's got some kind of life. It's got an atmosphere, maybe not full blown like Earth, but it has it. What's the best way to generate the atmosphere to its fullest again? Well, they're thinking, like I said, make the planet hotter, and it will do that. Now, I think that's a good possibility to make it backfire too. I don't think that may not be the answer. Rachel, that's what it's all about. Made new friends here. Yep. Freaking out about Muskie's plan to the moon and Mars. Muskie's. Well, like I said, I mean, what's really funny about it now, even back in the day, people don't know this, but before Curiosity rover, before the Opportunity, you got the Sojourner was back in 1997. A lot of people are not even aware of those. I go, what about the rover in 1997? They go, what rover? You got the Sojourner rover back in 97. You've got the twins, I call them, the Opportunity and Spirit rover back in 2004. And of course, you got the Curiosity rover. And now we got the other one coming in 2020. And funny enough, it says NASA optometrists verify Mars 2020 rovers 2020 vision. And that's pretty cool. It's interesting. They have two cams that one of them I was really intrigued with because it's the way they say this. What does it say here? See if I can find this here where it said this. This is pretty cool. See if I can find this part of it. It was pretty neat. That wasn't the one either. Which one is this in here? Okay. Like the Mastcam Z that's going to be on there, right? It's basically on the mast. And it's basically the same design as our Curiosity we get up there now, right? The difference is it's going to have different instruments on it. And the cameras are one. It's supposed to be like these super cams and stuff like that. But the Mastcam Z, its main job to take high definition video panoramic color and 3D images of the Martian surface and features in the atmosphere with a zoom lens to magnify distant targets. Okay, I don't believe that's anything new because we can zoom in with these cameras now on the Curiosity rover we got now. But they're actually saying high definition video. Let's see how many videos they show. I'm kind of curious about that. Super cam. Let's see. That one there is going to be, I think it's the, what is it, supposed to be the 12? Now, the funny thing about it is data return, they say 15.5 megabits per experiment or about 4.2 megabits per day. Now, that doesn't seem like a whole lot because if you really think about it, it's really not. But you don't need a whole lot when you're concentrating on a certain area and you're just taking a picture of a certain thing, right? At least if you're thinking like the Black Ops. Now, as far as like just for the public consumption, they'll just take a picture of a certain area and that's it. But they can zoom in a great deal of area, guys. Let me see. The Msss, it tells you everything from power consumption, approximately 17.4 watts, camera head per unit, so on and so forth. It goes on. Data return for that one is approximately 148 megabits per sol average, or Martian day. And of course, that one there is only going to be small as far as the Msss Z. That's only going to be about 2 megs. I think what they call it, similar to that of a consumer digital camera, 2 megapixel. I don't know what the hell camera they're using. Is it back in the freaking 90s? Hell, I got some old ones here and they're like 10, 12 megapixels. This is what we're been here. Okay, Mastcam Z has sharp vision. With its powerful zoom, Mastcam Z can see features as small, get this, as small as a housefly all the way from a distance that's about the length of a soccer field. That's a pretty good zoom, guys. I don't know about you, but that's pretty darn good. That was from the, like I said, Mastcam Z. Now we'll go back down to Supercam. Supercam does science from afar, from more than 20 feet, 7 meters away. Supercam can fire a laser to study rock targets smaller than a pencil point. That lets the rover study spots it can't reach with its arm. Right. Okay, there's also something here. Supercam looks at rock textures and chemicals to find those that formed or changed in water or Mars long ago. Water is key to life. They already said there's water on Mars, right? Supercam looks at different rock and soil types to find ones that could preserve signs of past microbial life on Mars, if any existed. Come on now. For the benefit of future explorers, Supercam identifies which elements of the Martian dust may be harmful to humans. And get this is a camera now, keep in mind. Scientists can learn about how atmospheric molecules, water ice, and dust absorb or reflect solar radiation. This data improves our ability to predict Martian weather, which they already have a weather station already on there on Mars. I mean, it's on the actual Curiosity rover. So, yeah. Mastcam Z is all seeing. Mastcam Z shows us entire scene around the rover. It can look around in a full 360 circle and full 180 degrees from straight down to straight up. It also sees in color in 3D stereo. So they want to do this. They want to get more depth of these things. So I guess they want to see from a distance just how far or how tall these things might be from afar, and gives them a better idea just how big these items or just regular natural stuff they're looking at, and gives them a better idea, right? Scientists can use Mastcam Z to find signs of ancient lakes, streams, and other water-related features. Yeah, pretty crazy. George, had a fantastic night, guys. See you all next time. Stay safe. You do the same, man. Good to see you in there. Don't know if you popped in early because the darn thing just jumped up on me while I was reading this stuff. So my apologies if you did jump in there and say hello. So I'll say hello back, and you have yourself a good night. Man, Man, you guys are talking about cakes and stuff. You're making me hungry here. I heard that, Rachel, you're a good cook. Well, let us know we can go and eat. Yeah. Am I the only one that's getting hungry here, guys, because they're talking about food? Jason, you're right about that. You're right. Apollo 11, I'm sorry, was actually the third manned craft because you got Apollo 8, right? So, yeah. Scott Gamble, Chris, your stuff on Mercury, Venus, Mars, Moon is all absolutely obvious. Knowing that these things helps me recognize the fakes and scams perpetrated by other channels, pundits, and governments. Well, I mean, here's the thing, man. I mean, if you study this stuff long enough, I mean, I'm not doing anything you guys can't do, right? I'm doing the same thing you guys would do: research, check the more in depth into the photos, stuff like that. I'm not doing anything special here, guys. I would do the same thing any one of you would do because a lot of you guys are smart. You guys have been into a lot of this stuff. You researched. You're doing a lot of this stuff with Photoshop now, and which I give you guys kudos for that because that alone. Because when people say, "Well, he does this," and I want to see if I come up with the same thing, and sure in hell, a lot of people go, "Man, I just did the same thing. I found the same stuff you found." In fact, there was a guy, and I think I told you this story. I don't remember what his name is now. He said, "Chris, can you find the?" He got a photo and he doctored it up himself. And he said, "Can you find what's in this photo that's actually hidden?" Okay. So when I couldn't find anything right away, but then I put it into the raw plating of the photo. And sure in the heck, there was something right on the bottom of the photo. I said, "You got something right here at the bottom of the photo, and it's connected to this." And I don't remember what the picture was. And I said, "It's connected to that." He says, "You got it." He said, "Your work is legit." He literally faked this thing out, literally covered it up. And yet I could find it through the plating of that from that particular photo. And he said, "You're legit. I can't believe it." He says, "I thought, to be honest with you, I thought you were full of it when you did these Photoshop things, but you passed the test." I said, and I told him right out, "Thank you for doing it." I mean, not a good one. The way you're talking with Rachel and stuff like that is pretty funny. Paulo de Silva, Rachel, make her have a great dish. That you can do it, but would make her very proud. Oh yeah. MC Gamer, hey Chris, cheers for doing our live stream earlier for us guys and girls over in UK. Really helps us out, mate. Well, I appreciate that, man. And well, like I said, I know a lot of you guys asked me, "Hey, man, you think you can make this a little bit earlier?" And I'm thinking 6:00. It's only an hour early. Let's go 5. See if it works out for you guys. Now, I think most of you guys it has worked out. I don't know if it's helped everybody out because if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or whatever, clearly it hasn't. It's not going to, right? Richard Frost, radio waves travel in light speed, don't they? 6 minutes from Mars should see gigabits, not instead of megabits, right? Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Excuse me. They were talking about they wanted to use lasers, kind of like what we got now, right? We got fiber optics. They want to put information in laser, so you can get there a lot faster, as well as a lot more information through this laser or this light, basically transmission, to be able to put a lot more information in there. Just kind of like you do with your fiber optics here, and whether it's your cable or your internet, and so much more faster, right? So I don't know if they've even perfected that and just saying, "Well, yeah, we can only get so much information back, so therefore we can't, there's only so much we can do. We can't get a whole lot of information." I don't think that's true. Oh, excuse me. I think what's happening here is that, well, this is the way this works. I don't know if you guys know this, but the rovers, well, Spirit's dead. Supposedly Opportunity's dead now. I'm not sure about that, but that's what they claim. And Curiosity, they would literally uplink to one of the orbiters, whether the MRO or the other orbiters orbiting around Mars. And then, of course, once the satellite is around Mars, orbiting around here, and it's closest to Earth, then they would then send the transmission because it's closer, right? And of course, it's not on the other side of Mars, so it makes sense. So what they're doing is they do that, and it takes anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes, depending on how far away. And if it's in perihelion, they can't do that. It's on the other side of the sun. Common sense, right? So But it's anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes, and I'm going, okay. But what happens if they perfected the laser where they can send the information through light? Well, it's a whole lot faster and a whole lot more information. I think they're getting a lot more information than they're claiming, even if it is old school, right? Just radio waves. I think it's a lot more than that. Oh, Daniel, you put on the ad. That's why I didn't believe Hillary, her UFO promise fascinated me, but it dealt with Area 51 workers there do not have declaring she would go in there and no evidence. Well, it's not just that. She's just like most of us. I mean, they think because you're the president, well, I'm the commander in chief. That don't mean squat. The military, although you're the commander in chief, you should be in charge of them as well. But I think if you think about it, the higher ups, the elites, yeah, they probably just look at the president or leader, depending on what country you're in, right? That you're just on a need to know basis, like everybody else. That's what I believe. Barbarian 757 oceans of water underground on Mars. Yes, they next to the one of the polar caps, they found it was like a mile in width, but only like 12 to I think it was 12 to 20 inches in depth. They found a lake on Mars, but they've always talked about water anyway under the soil, and I forget what it was per 3 meters. I think they went by meters. It was moist. The actual sand is moist. Okay, so again, doing your research. You got up to, and I read this, where it said 104 degrees in the shade, the Curiosity registered this temperature, right? Let's say it's only 50, 60 degrees at the highest, just for argument's sake. Okay, sunshine at some point, you're still going to get some kind of evaporation. And of course, it turns into a cloud. Cloud can only handle so much. It comes back as rain. You got yourself a water cycle. It's common sense stuff, right? So if it's in the ground, and of course, it'll freeze at night, but then melts again. And you get direct sunlight, you get enough heat, because here's the thing, they claim that the sun's not as strong. But if the atmosphere is much thinner, what's stopping the sunshine or any kind of, well, because it's radiation too, right? But what's to stop the actual sunshine from heating the surface even more so, or at least equivalent to Earth? How do we know? If that's true, then we've got, we can have, and they actually claimed there's actually a water cycle. They actually said it right out. There is a water cycle in Gale Crater. So what's that tell you? There's got to be enough radiational heating. There's got to be enough heating. Got to be enough to make clouds. Get too much moisture droplets and stuff like that in the clouds. It comes back as water, right? There you go. Yes. Paul Merlo. Yep. Mars helicopter going with 2020 rover. Yes. And I think that's things, they claim it's going to help the rover navigate, so on and so forth. Well, what's the excuse now? The rover can do that now, the one that's there on now since 2012. It's got an autonomous drive. It can do it itself. We don't even need to control the thing if we don't want to, unless, of course, there's things of interest. Then we'll tell it to turn different ways. But how are they doing that? Well, they're doing it from the MRO. The MRO, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and you got the high-rise camera, looks down, sees exactly where this thing's at. And of course, they don't have to babysit the thing all the time because it literally, autonomous drive, it can avoid giant boulders and everything else. It can go around them, navigates perfectly. So why do they need this helicopter? Maybe there's an area high enough where they can't get to. Think about that. Maybe, of course, I'm just, thinking sci-fi here. But is it possible that trying to look up into these structures that are still there on Mars, and obviously the rover can't get to it, or it's something on a hillside that it can't get to, the helicopter can just fly up, see it, and it comes back down. I don't think the actual flight time, I don't think it's more than 5-7 minutes. I think it was 7 minutes, I think they said. So, but you don't need a whole lot of time just to fly up, look around with the camera, come back down, land on I think it's supposed to be on the underbelly of the rover, which is kind of weird. But I think it's only going to be stowed away there, and then it's going to become, I think it's supposed to be kind of like your cell phone. It'll land and it'll charge itself, just kind of lands on a pad and it'll charge itself right there in the rover. I'd be curious to see how that thing's going to work out. I don't know about you guys, but I'm curious myself. Am Johnson, hello, Chris, and everyone. First time here. Well, thanks for stopping in. Welcome aboard. Watch the real Jimmy Roberts. He will show you a river. Go look at it. I've seen it, Hatchet Man. I've seen it. And the way he actually used the color to bring it out, it's showing how it's flowing through the actual rocks and stuff. Yeah, he did a really good job on that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember if it was an 8. Was it the 8K cam alien? You must have a. I don't think it will. I think it was supposed to be more of a 4K. I could be wrong. But that's what I think I read because. But even then, if it's an 8K, oh my god, can you imagine the damn resolution that thing's gonna have? Paulo de Silva wrote at Phil Cox with daughters. Jessica found it. 6/19/2018. White orb caught on camera. Structures miles high rather. I'm sorry. Um, Steven, are you talking about on the moon or on Mars? I think, well, either one, because if people have claimed they've seen structures that are huge, but they also said they were very large on the moon as well, right? Susan Ann, do they plan on abandoning Earth to go to Mars? I don't think that's the case. I think, I'm hoping. The way I look at it is this: let's suppose for a moment they take, they start a civilization on Mars. I think the first thing they're going to try to do is going to probably be the elites. And they're going to try to think about this. Everything, it's like yourself. If you were to, you ever see that movie Lord of the Flies? They actually had to make their own rules up and everything else. Of course, you've seen how that went. But think about this. You think about, if you were the elites, you'd be saying to yourself, okay, so all the mistakes and all the screw ups we've done on Earth, let's not do that to Mars. Let's not do that. So, because you can see it was evident because they were trying to see. They said that they don't want to. I guess they were sterilizing these rovers and stuff like that when they sent them, so this way it wouldn't contaminate Mars. Like I said, I mean the rover itself has got a nuclear power plant, so if that thing ever leaks, well, good luck with that. But and of course, you got these hardy microbes that can live. I mean, hell, they're on the ISS, living on the outside of the ISS. How is this possible? Of course, the atmosphere still reaches out there, right? There you go. But so yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think what they're going to do is they're going to have a civilization there on Mars. And who knows? This may be the junk planet after that. Because think about it. I mean, unless you could correct everything that's going on that's wrong here on Earth, how does it get any better? So the only thing I can see that they're going to do, at least in my view, and you guys may have a different view, and you can go ahead and speak your minds. I think what they're going to try to do is do it like the creme de la creme, maybe the best blood types. There'll be no crime there. And if there is, can you imagine that? Oh, by the way, we don't have jails here. We just execute you and throw you out in space. I can't even imagine how they work that. But of course, that's way jumping the gun here. I mean, we don't know what's even going to happen to even start it and then so on and so forth. So time will tell on that. Oh, train's going by. Burp, burp. Let's see. Oh, thing jumped up again. All right, Abs. You have yourself a good night, man. You said got to run. Have a good week, people. Cheers. Cheers right back at you, man. Have yourself a good week coming up there, right? You're right about that, Susan Ann. You're right. There has to be something on Mars to put so much money into getting there. Absolutely. Like I said, it started off, okay, we got, the United States sending that. Then you got India. You got Russia sent something up, I think it was a year and a half ago now. They said that they were sending a probe there. And you never heard another word about it. Nothing. So you got all of these countries, and not to mention all the ones that actually got together to build these crafts. Think about it. So there is this collaboration with all these countries to build this thing. Now, which ones are actually seeing the real deal, though, right? Getting to see the real photos, so on and so forth. Yeah, that'd be interesting. But there's so many of them there now. I mean, and come on. Yeah, it's just a dusty planet, man. There's nothing to see here. Just continue on. I don't believe that. They're not going up there spending all kinds of millions upon millions of dollars to go there and just see dusty planet. Makes no sense. And if the United States is already looking into the soil and trying to find microbial life, what are the other countries doing there? Well, maybe they want to have a look too. Maybe they're not sending landers, but maybe they're sending orbiters, so on and so forth, just to have a look. And if you got a good camera, kind of like the high rise on the MRO, then you can see within a 4 foot swath on the ground. So you can see plenty if there's something there, right? Let's see. Rachel, you're right. I heard about that. Wouldn't reproduction on Mars cause tears in the DNA and damage it so bad that it stops its process? I don't think that would happen right away. What do you think about that? I think it would be normal because our bodies haven't changed to that atmosphere or the actual conditions on Mars. I think it would actually take time to do that. I could be wrong because as soon as you get into the atmosphere, right, you're there. But if you're inside structures and stuff like that with the same atmosphere we got here, meaning, you know, air quality, so on and so forth, then I think it'll be the same. But once they start to, build a civilization and they're out on the actual surface and everything else, and it gets into their genetics and their DNA, I think it will actually have an effect. Now, is it good, bad? I don't know. Be something to see, though. If Mars was or the moon was visited by aliens, where would they have come from in a normal flesh and bones cannot withstand space travel? Humans are actually very weak. Well, it depends on the technology. I mean, the way they talk about, see some spacecraft that actually, they literally, I don't know if you guys seen that video. It was on, oh crap, what was it? This goes way back. This was an old video where it showed the Earth, and it showed what looked like a craft coming towards the Earth's atmosphere. All of a sudden, you see this bright light go, poof, and you see something come straight out, and you see this thing do this abrupt turn, and just swing right back. So, was it? Was that a craft? They claim it was nothing but an ice crystal coming off that was in front of a thruster. But this thing you could see it was way off in the distance. It wasn't right at that craft. I don't believe that for a moment. But it depends. Like anti gravity. You wouldn't feel that inside the craft, so you probably would not be affected. Kind of like the Star Trek thing, right? Well, factor 8 or 10, and they don't feel it. Just off it goes. Now, again, that's sci-fi, but I think it depends. I think it depends on their technology if they're a lot like us, right? Yeah, Nacho, yeah, 1,000,000% sure they are not on the moon or Mars or anywhere else to look at dust or rocks or gold or anything else like that. They're to collect technology. Yeah, I think they're recon missions, to be truthful with you, um, because they just want to get in there and even if it's just to see the stuff, not maybe not to grab the technology, but to get in there. Because think about it, if you've seen the stuff that they've seen, think about this a minute. You want to go and take a look at that? My God, it's not ours. Let's go have a look. So this is the reason why we get this huge demand or this big bum rush, like I said, to go to Mars and the moon. Now it seems more like Mars lately, but what I was going to say earlier is you got way back in the 50s, they were traveling. You had the Soviet Union going to Mercury, Mars, you're doing flybys. Some of them were just landers. A lot of them failed missions. They've been doing this long before the Apollo missions. So think about it. If you thought or seen something on the moon way back in the day, but didn't have the technology to do it, but now you do. You build up, you build up. And like I said, they didn't just get these guys and go, oh, by the way, we're just going to pick anybody. Go ahead and get on there and we're going to just take the shot, see if we can get you to the moon. No, they tested, did all kinds of tests, had unmanned crafts, so on and so forth. So finally they felt good enough or safe enough to send people to the moon. And they've been doing this for a long time now. They've been doing it long before the Apollo mission. You're talking about the 40s and 50s, I think. At least in the 50s, we know that. So it would not surprise me. Mike Hoover, you put on there, Russia has that potato. That potato. Huh? I'm thinking food now. Thanks, Rachel. Russia has that photo of their probe being shot, taken out by a ship, Sputnik, I think. No, that was actually. Oh, I know what you're talking about too. No, the craft was named after the actual trying to think here. What is this? I'll see if you guys sent me another message here. Let me see here. I got to look this up too. I'm actually went blonde there for a second. No offended by anybody who's blonde. Sorry. It seems like, and if I'm not mistaken, it was called, the craft was Phobos. And what it did was when it went to the moon, the Phobos, it was supposed to go around it, orbit it, and everything else. And then what they found was a cigar-shaped, in their last photo that it took, there was a cigar-shaped, looked like a shadow on Phobos. And suddenly, orbiter was gone. See ya. And now I believe the other one, there was Phobos 1 and Phobos 2, that the other one became a dead stick and it flew right by. It was supposed to either go do a flyby by Mars, but it didn't work the way they wanted. It totally just kept going, and I call them the dead stick, and they didn't do much of anything after that. Yeah, Michael Stock. Yeah, Chris, that's exactly what they've been doing, extracting best DNA, people, smartest, most talented, etc. They won't tell anyone ever, just extract what they need, then destroy the stragglers. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, if you think about it too, didn't they have like when they were supposed to have the Mars one, they were getting people to go, and young, good minds, so on and so forth. And I'm sure they checked into their DNA, meaning they were healthiest. And that's going to be the people that's going to go. They want to have a brain. It was almost like this brand new utopia kind of thing where they want to have the healthiest of the healthy, less chance of, sickness. They don't want to have, and like I said, I can't imagine what they would do as far as people that are like breaking the law if they have laws and everything else, which I'm sure they will, what they'd do to them. But can you imagine? We're not going to deal with prisons. We're just going to feed you to the indigenous life here. I don't know, right? So, yeah. Robert Morgan trying to figure out how fertile the soil is. Well, that's true too. They want to see if they can grow stuff, right? But like I said, they literally had done an experiment with that where they had, like I said, they took the composition that the Viking Lander had, sent the data back. They've gotten the actual composition of the soil, and all we did was took, volcanic ash and added it to it, and stuff grew amazing, better than most places here on Earth. So I believe they're already privy to that. I think they already pretty much know that back in the 70s. So again, why are they there again? So it's hard to tell. I think there's a range of reasons why they're there. But like I said, judging by a lot of these photos, I think it goes much deeper than just rocks and soil. Nacho Libre, everyone, try and Google secret KGB UFO files. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff in that. You're right about that. Max Doom, not sure if man is suitable for otherworldly habitation. More likely robot humanoid. Yeah, you might be right on that. Might be like a hybrid we'll send, right? It's hard to tell. I mean, we've already got robots there if you think about it. Not like an actual robot like, mimics us, but we do have the rovers, which are basically our eyes and our ears, in which incidentally, the 2020 rover is supposed to have ears on it too. Supposed to be able to hear sounds, microphones. So we'll see what happens with that. We already know there's wind there. In fact, trying to remember the actual Curiosity rover having the weather station on it. They had one that actually showed like a little windmill, like you would see on the stations, the weather stations you can get for your house, showed something similar to that. And so it had wind speed, humidity, which they never show. What else was there? Temperature, obviously. And they'll have like sunrise, sunset, pretty much the same daytime, or I wouldn't say daytime or daylight, but the same amount of time. It's like 24-hour plus. And it was just like a hair over 24 hours like Earth. Basically the same time, guys. In fact, they said the human, and I forgot what scientists said this, but they said that there was, I'm trying to remember how they said this. I don't want to tell you guys something wrong, but they said that the body itself was more geared up to be more on Mars than here on Earth. I don't know if you guys heard that, but the way they talked about it, I'm trying to remember exactly why they said that, but still strangely enough, it's like your body clock or something like that was more tuned to Mars than it would be here on Earth. And it makes sense. If you were on Earth, you'd probably be stronger, less frail, but you're here with more gravity and you're more frail and everything else. But they said you'd actually be better off on Mars. Daniel Webster, if they use anti-gravity, which they almost certainly would, they would feel no acceleration. As a matter of fact, warping space is probably the only way they're going to visit the distant. Yeah, exactly. I think it was Einstein who said about that, and talking about, how you can actually fold or bend basically space, right? So, yeah. I think as far as locally, meaning in our own solar system, yeah, we'll do it just standard. But if we wanted to go out further, yeah, that's going to be the way to go. I know, Shep. They're talking about food again. What's going on here? It's like, guys, you're killing me here. A good one. Shep, the way you said that. I'll watch Earth for us. Have a nice trip. And a lot of people say that. They're like, they ask me, would you go to Mars if you had the chance? Yeah. It's kind of like the guys, you got the Apollo 11, you got all these guys, Buzz and all these, I'm sure they sat there and contemplated, okay, am I going to die in this mission? But they did it for mankind, right? Now, to me, I think they've been briefed. They would have to be briefed on what they're going to see, right? But they still took the chance. They still went. There was a chance they could die there. I mean, they had a fire on one of the Apollo missions, right? So, okay, so knowing that these guys could die anytime, but they still went. Why? It's well worth it to them. Big step for mankind, right? Now, I think I'd be more apt to go if I knew there was a return trip if I could come back. Other than that, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you guys do it? Octavital Forstage. Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? Yeah, Michael, yeah, yep. Our skin not good here. Our eyes don't adapt here. Soles of our feet or something. I saw that. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't exactly know what it all consisted of, but yeah, the way they were talking, it's like we were more, our body was more in tune with Mars than it is here. So I don't know if it's because you talked about slightly longer days, so on and so forth. Yep. Dr. Brandenburg shows us, weapon signatures with highly eradicated, whatever, isotopes. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, was it Xenon 29? I think it was. Just one of them. There was actually more signatures than that, but, the major one. And they said, well, chances are it probably was not natural at all. And it was done by an actual explosion, a nuclear explosion, two to be factual. Jazdi Lister. I'm thinking. I hope I'm not butchering your name here. 1:30 a.m. here, but this is more interesting than sleep. Well, yeah, good conversation, um, good comments. Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. Casey Berkeley. I'm sorry. Um, they are now saying that the isotopes on Earth match the samples taken from the moon in 1969, where those samples from Area 51 make sense. They match. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, they find all kinds of crazy stuff on the moon if you think about it. They found different metals, titanium, so on and so forth. Um, and to me, like I said, I don't think we know the whole truth of what's going on the moon here, guys. I mean, and if that's true, like you're saying, isotopes they match on the moon. It's hard to tell. Did we bomb the moon back in the day? I mean, we've done it recently. Well, when I say compared to 1969, right? So nothing would surprise me. Nothing at all. I mean, how do we know there wasn't wars on the moon? I mean, ancient civilizations talked about that, right? Wars on the moon, wars on Mars. How do we know? Again, I think they know the answer. They just don't know how it happened. But I think they know the answers because just by seeing what they're seeing, right? As far as the space agencies. Yeah, you're right about that. Octavital, you put on there. It's funny. They can't even remember the route they took to avoid the Van Allen radiation belts. Now they have some issue with it all of a sudden. Kind of suspicious. Yeah, absolutely. They know exactly what's going on. And they, listen, it's more closer to the actual um polar caps on here on Earth that they can actually go higher and get right through them, and they can see where they are. Where they're again. We've got two Van Allen belts. Sometimes we have three due to the sun's activity. And sometimes we just have. Most of the time we have two, but sometimes you'll get three. So they know exactly when these things come. Maybe it's actually from the activity from the sun. But what it happens is whether it's more active on the sun, and we just get that extra one. And then there's times where many times just a two. They know how to get through it. They're just full of it. It's almost like they're trying to put everybody's mindset backwards. Think about it. When we know better than that, right? Maybe the aliens on the moon nuked Mars. Well, I mean, if there was life forms throughout our solar system long before we knew, we had intelligent man here on Earth, how do we know what the hell was going on? And like I said, I think they're going on. It's almost like they're stepping out of the house for the first time, looking around, going, "Oh, look at these are our neighbors." How do we know? You know what I mean? I think again, we're just learning how to crawl. Now we're starting to learn how to walk. We're looking around, checking out different things. Ooh, wow, this is interesting, and that's how we're learning. And of course, there's a lot of things we won't know because again, need to know basis. But still, nonetheless, what are they finding there, right? I think judged on what we're seeing in these photos, we're seeing quite a bit. Exactly, alien antenna. Yeah, it can't be natural xenon 29. Well, they're claiming that the way they talk, I'm trying to remember how they said this. Uh, I'm trying to remember how they said this. It was something about Mars and it has its own, like, because it's radiation from the sun, but they were saying something else that interacted with it. It caused something. And they were thinking, I'm saying, how the hell did they come up with that when xenon 29 is, it's radioactive. Something, it's a chemical. It's some makes up nuclear bombs, right? How the hell can they even try to equate that? Makes no sense. Shep, I built skyscrapers for 20 years. I've been high enough and I'm good here on curved ground. I don't blame you there. Jay Center, you put on there, they, i.e., Armstrong, downplayed the money and said it was basically military salary going to the moon. Man, that may be true, but because think about it. If, let's suppose, I mean, you go, well, it's shit money. Let's just put it that way, right? But if they say you got a chance to go to the moon, nobody's ever done that. Maybe the money wouldn't mean squat. I mean, think about it, because you'd have to have a good life insurance plan, right? Because that could be bad. Let me see here. I want to check something real quick. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got some other stuff I can do some now. Cool. Guys are sending me all kinds of work here. And we just checked that out too. Josh D. Litfin, I'm not sure your name. Yeah, there's more people interested than you think. So I'm glad everybody's, taking interest in a lot of this stuff, right? I just translated his work too, besides getting this other photo. I got a couple sols to cover. A couple sols and pictures to cover from Mars coming up. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. You put absolutely 100% right, Chris, in regards in the radiation belts. Octavital you put on there, you said. Yeah, I mean, again, just research. I'm not doing anything special, like I said, that you guys can't do. It's all about, just research and stuff and share it with everybody else. You guys share it with me. Again, it's all a learning process. I mean, if you put on there, Rachel, if science says we will grow taller on Mars, why would it be impossible to wake up and think that the giants from the Bible were really from Mars? Yeah. I mean, they talked about how big were they? They were like, 14, 15 feet tall and stuff like that. I mean, even bigger, I think, at some point. Yeah, it's in Dutch. Yeah. Renee, yep. Don't be sorry. Like I said, I saw it and I translated it myself. But, he said, I'm glad I'm not the only one interested in this. And absolutely. I like what you said there, Shep. Haha, to me too, Rachel. Damn bacon, y'all. It's like porn. Bacon is good. I think the process of education, understanding, and knowledge has been subsequently manipulated by covert, secret folks. Yeah, because like, listen, you've been trained and taught so often, boom, but boom, it keeps gets banged in your head over and over and over again, that you're trained to believe that. So anything that goes different from your mind, or what your world thinking is, because you've been taught this certain things over and over again since you were a child. Now somebody throws you a new idea. Some people can't cope with that, and then some people go, "Oh yeah." If you think outside the box and not what you've been taught all your life, things become a lot clearer. Yeah, Mike Hoover. Yeah, those Nephilim taught us a lot of advanced skills. Well, that's what they're saying. I mean, they taught us agriculture, speech, well, at least their language, um, even laws. I mean, they had all kinds of stuff that they taught man. So yeah. Shep, my dog is yell growling at me to take her out. And damn it, anyone want to train a 15-year-old red nosed pit? You're probably not going to get to do any new tricks if they, how they say they can't teach an old dog new tricks. But hey, nothing wrong with that, man. You got to go. You got to go, right? Like whoever someone or something did not like that supposedly we got flooded. Well, that's what they said. I mean, they were just like, you know, they were trying to just like kill off the population. I know they had the way they, at least the way the text say, it says that at one point they argued and they didn't want to kill off the actual people that they changed their DNA, right? At least in the Sumerian writings, they said that they didn't want to, that they didn't want the Anunnaki to kill us off and all this other stuff, so on and so forth. And that, so and then some of them say, well, I think it was another, I'm trying to remember what the other ancient civilization was, but they said um, the gods didn't like us, so they'd actually try to kill off the population by the great flood, all kinds of stuff. You just got to read these things and really get to know the ancient Sanskrits, writings, whatever it may be. And it tells you a lot, man. It really does. Nacho Libre, if any of you want an interesting story, try and look up the red-haired giant from Afghan. See, I read something about that. Eh, kind of vague, but seemed to me I heard something about that. Then you get the other ones too. You remember the little ones they're talking about? They found, like, I don't know how true that is, but I mean it shows like these little tiny people. Pretty cool. Alien Hunters X. Follow us on Instagram. Photography, light, and magic. My dog keeps farting during your show. God, I'll be killing you over there. That wouldn't be good. Well, guys, it's been what, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Man, it doesn't even feel like that. I don't know about you guys, but the time just right by. Seeing Rachel's made me really hungry. I got to get off here. Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate that. Just playing with you. I'm sure everybody's sitting there going, man, I got to get me something to eat. Active vital. I would never become an astronaut because you might need to pick your butt while you're in a spacesuit. That's a good one. It's been real by Chris. Studious realism. I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, we're definitely gonna jump on off here. Been 2 hours and 41 minutes. Been awesome. Yeah. By the way, yeah, smash that like button. Always appreciate that. But you guys, this is what's awesome, man. Had a great night. Great talk with everybody. Everybody's having a great time. I appreciate you guys more than you know, and I do appreciate you guys backing me. During that video I made to the other person there. And it's not about, believe it or not, about when I say support, I'm not saying how you attacked that other person or said negative things. I'm talking about how you said about the work. Just continue on your work. And we're going to do that. He's done. I'm not going to spend another moment. I did tell him, though, if he continues on, that I was going to expose a little bit more about him, but it ain't going to be on a video. In other words, I'm not going to be talking about it anymore. We're done. It's done. That's the end of that. Like I said, if he wants to continue to talk about me, he can do that. And, that's fine. He'll leave somebody else alone, right? So no problem. Anyway, guys, do appreciate you stopping in. Again, I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Having good conversation here. It's like being in a large room. Everybody's sitting there talking, right? And having a great time. So you guys all have yourselves a good night and a good week coming up. And we'll definitely be kicking out some more videos for you guys. And like I said, I tried to get that one out this morning. Early afternoon, mid-morning. So I'm glad I could do that for you guys, but we're going to try to knock out more. Like I said, I've got at least two. Well, no, I got more than that. I got about 4 of them on deck for you guys. I'm going to try to get these things out. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate you being here. Much love to all of you guys. And we'll definitely see you in the new videos, as well as next week's 5 p.m. Eastern time live feed there, right? Anyway, guys, have yourself a good one. We'll see you.